Ronnie Kanalik set to kick it away. The sophomore out of Fort Worth, Texas. He is one of the best at getting it into the end zone, and Geddes watches it fly over his head. Let's take a look at today's Craftsman tools for success.
I think starting with Nebraska, they have to find something to spark them offensively. We talked about quarterback Cody Green. We'll see if that is the answer. Defensively, Nebraska has to defend the pass downfield. That's been their nemesis. They're great everywhere else. Downfield throws is a problem. Baylor, they have to utilize that speed offensively. We've already hit on that. Get the ball to your playmakers. And then they also have to minimize the defensive pressure. Carl Pelini talks about offenses deadening that pressure. They get rid of the ball quickly, and they don't let Nebraska's pressure become effective.
Well, right away, Florence is going to empty the backfield, has 5 wide receivers, Geddes in motion. Looks for the quick slant in, and it is caught up to the 24-yard line to Kendall Wright. Let's take a look at Baylor's offensive line. They've been moving people around. True freshman Ivory Wade will get his 3rd start at left guard. He's going to be matched against Jared Crick of Nebraska.
We can already see that one of the things Art Briles is going to do is go hurry up, not only the no huddle, but hurry to the line of scrimmage. He hasn't been willing to do that with Nick Florence yet.
On a defense, 5-yard penalty. It makes the line to gain 1st down.
Let's take a look and continue to look at our freecreditreport.com starting lineups, wide receivers, and skill positions.
A lot of speed on the field for this group right here, but Jay Finley also in that running game is getting healthy. Very important.
Now Nebraska making changes defensively. We were told that Nebraska wanted to slow it down. Main reason is opponents in Big 12 play about 84 plays a game to only about 60 for them. Florence on the run. He gets up to about the 33-yard line. Let's take a look at the Nebraska defense, the most frugal defense since the black shirts of 1999, and the defensive line, an outstanding quartet. Over 130 tackles between the 4 of them, and the linebacker's pretty good too.
Yeah, I really like Dillard. He actually is back in the starting lineup, moving from the middle over to the weak side.
Now Jay Finley joins Florence in the backfield from the I formation. 2nd down and 6, ball on the 34-yard line. And we got a whistle on the far side of the field.
And Ron, you can already see that Art Briles wants to go with this very much a fast up-tempo type of approach.
Yeah.
Nick Florence was what was holding them back from doing that in the past. That's his Art Briles' style for sure.
Well, no foul, so they're just going to reconvene, and we'll do it again. Art Briles, I asked him on Thursday, are you going to have any bullets left in your chamber after this game? And he smiled and said, no.
And Ron, you can already sense out of Art Briles, this team, there's a sense of urgency that we didn't see last week when we were in here.
There was no tempo last week in the game versus Oklahoma State. Here's Florence putting it up again, going deep, and that's going to be well overthrown. Intended receiver was Geddes. He threw into double coverage.
Ron, that's one of the things that Carl Pelini told us, that is when they get David Geddes, one of those speed guys, true track type of speed, when he gets downfield in a vertical release, they want to get him underneath and over the top, and you can see on that play he was doubled by Asante over the top and Amukamara underneath.
Now the last 4 games, only 28% on 3rd down for Baylor. They need 6. Sampson and Smith on the far side, and Kendall Wright also. Florence looking right, throws over the middle behind the intended receiver Wright, who takes a shot from Larry Asante.
Asante comes in late, and certainly the fans here at Baylor thought it was a late hit. But this is also what the receivers need to do a better job of. That was a bad throw. It was behind Wright on that pass by Florence, and then you saw the vicious, somewhat late hit by Asante.
But that is exactly what Baylor was hoping wouldn't happen. Their first drive come up with nothing. Now Derek Epperson, one of the best in college football punting, the junior out of Southlake, Texas, Keller High School, set to kick it away to Niles Paul, standing back at his 15-yard line. And the punt is blocked up in the air. Epperson has a chance at him inside the 10-5. Touchdown, Nebraska. Justin Blatchford takes the ball out of midair and rambles it in. Nebraska burned on a fake punt last week. They have a big special teams play this week. It looked like Eric Martin, the true freshman, got a piece of that punt. And we've got a stoppage. Let's see if they're going to review it. It is going to be reviewed.
I think what certainly they're going to review is whether Blatchford, after he caught that punt in midair, whether he stepped out on the sideline before he got it into the end zone. But Eric Martin coming in right there, one of those young linebackers out there on the special teams, and then Blatchford taking it to the house. The question is, does he step out of bounds? Looks like a very good job of finishing off that play and getting into the end zone.
What a heads-up play by Blatchford. As soon as he heard the block, he immediately looked up in the air.
That's a
very heads-up play.
Yeah, great point.
Watch
Find
this.
the football. You hear that double thump, the thump of the punter's foot, and then the thump of it getting blocked, and then Blatchford locates it in midair, catches the ball, and tries to get it in the end zone. But you referred to that fake punt last week.
On the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
That fake punt last week by Iowa State that really was a thorn in Nebraska's side all week. That ended up being the difference in the game, but kind of switching gears here today.
Well, you know, it's funny. You and I were talking to Mike Eckler, the linebackers coach and works with special teams. He said he was physically sick, that he called the wrong return or punt last week, punt coverage last week. And he said, we're going to do something today. And he was absolutely right. Alex Henry kicks the extra point. So Nebraska needs less than a minute and a half to get the first 7 on the board over Baylor. Last win for Baylor on Halloween, 1953, when they beat TCU. And already they're down 7-0 here in the first quarter. Their first for Nebraska's punt return, block for a touchdown since 2004. Justin Blatchford, the redshirt freshman out of Ponca, Nebraska. Here's Adi Kanalik again. Terrence Williams deep, and this will also go out of the end zone. Tonight, the PBR World Finals continue on. Versus can leader Cody Lostra hang on and claim his #1 gold buckle? Or will Gil Airmy, Marchie, J.B. Mooney, and the world's toughest Cowboys knock them off? The PBR World Finals continue tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Well, Kelly, I think if you're a Baylor fan right now, you're saying one of the worst case scenarios is falling behind. You really don't have the offense, at least in the last 3 games, to come from behind.
Well, they've been challenged, absolutely, to get points in any way. So getting behind early is certainly not a good thing.
Here's Salubi. Oh. Check that as Florence on the carry. Alfonso Dennard on the stop. This Nebraska defense is so good. It all starts up front.
And Dominican Sue is the real deal, and we can already see that Art Briles is willing to let Nick Florence get involved in that run game. Art Briles wants to get the running game going early.
Well, when you think you only have one other quarterback behind him, that's a little bit of rolling the dice.
It really is. Exposing your quarterback to this Nebraska defense is not a good idea.
Pass is tipped at the line of scrimmage. Jared Crick. You know, we talk about Ndamukong Suh so much, but we forget about the sophomore Crick. Ndamukong Suh told us a few weeks ago that he thinks that Crick has moved to the second level of thinking.
Yeah, Crick doing a nice job of just making eye contact with the quarterback and getting his hands up. But that position, kind of that 3-technique tackle beside Ndamukong Suh, is somewhat like winning the lottery. You know that Suh's going to get double, sometimes triple teamed almost every play. Crick is one-on-one almost every play as well.
3rd down and 5. Nebraska will only rush 4 as Florence throws it out into the flat. Pass is completed and fumbled. They're calling it a completed pass, and they'll mark it out at about the 38-yard line. That will move the chains. Ernest Smith just couldn't hold on to it, but it's still good enough for a first.
And once again, seeing Nick Florence get the football, get it out quickly. Nice, accurate pass to Smith, and the accuracy is supposed to be Nick Florence's strong suit. Art Briles needs Nick Florence to be accurate today.
Well, it is on 1st down, according to our referee today, Rick Lumiere, a fine Cajun man.
Baylor just isn't holding the ball very long at all. Nick Lawrence is getting the snap, resetting his feet, getting the ball out. Defensive coordinator from Nebraska, Carl Pelini, calls that, you know, a deadening effect. Nebraska wants to be aggressive and have their pressure affect the quarterback, but you deaden that as an offense by getting rid of that football quickly.
Well, Lawrence will go from the shotgun and right in motion. And he's got the football around the right side of the 40-yard line and scampers out at the 41-yard line. Kendall Wright, who had such an incredible year last year, talking to Art Browse on Thursday, he said, you know, I just think his karma's been off this year. Can't say I've ever heard a football coach use the word karma, but Kendall Wright told me he's challenged himself for this game.
Yeah, he really hasn't had the year that he had a year ago, but he had a great mesh with Robert Griffin, the quarterback, obviously, that is out for the season with that ACL. So sometimes that affects that speed guy outside.
Second down and short. We call it 3. Inside of 12 minutes remaining in quarter number 1. Here's Finley. He's had some ankle problems, quad problems, and he will be dropped for a big loss. You know, we talk about Robert Griffin, just exactly what he's meant to this offense. A tremendous game last year against Nebraska, but here's what he's meant to this team.
Yeah, just look at the record, but the rush yards, I think, are the big thing. Art Briles wants to establish every game plan by running the football early, and that opens up the passing game, and you can see the pass yards because they had to throw it without Griffin in there, but yeah, he's the real deal, and they miss him horribly.
Well, trips to the right, one wide receiver to the left, 3rd down and 6 after the loss of 3.
This is the matchup that Baylor wants to get to, but Nebraska's going to try to get over the top in that matchup.
They're going at the cornerback, throw it high up in the air, intended for Willie Jefferson, the 6'6" freshman. And it's knocked away, and Nebraska, the defensive player, Dennard, is down at the 35-yard line.
Dennard is in there, the young corner starting in place of Anthony West, who has been the starter at that position. But when Baylor goes that 3-by-1, they try to isolate the single receiver to one side, but Carl Pelini wants to get someone, a safety, over the top when that receiver releases vertical like Willie Jefferson did on that play.
We're going to take a break while they check out Alfonso Dennard, the sophomore out of Rochelle, Georgia. We'll be back to Baylor in a moment. Just a couple of miles up I-35, the campus of Baylor University, a very beautiful campus, including their new football facility up there, which is outstanding. We hope to show you that a little bit later, but right now the Bears trail Nebraska 7-0, 10:58 in the first. The first punt of the game was blocked and taken back for a touchdown by Nebraska. Epperson will try it again. Here comes the rush again, and it is not a good kick. And he'll take a Nebraska bounce inside the 30-yard line down to about the 28-yard line. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Ron Baylor's starting quarterback, Nick Lawrence, committed to Baylor back in 2008, but he didn't enroll until January of 09. And in between, he needed a job. And of all things, he found a gig as a window washer. Okay, so we asked him to show me the art of window washing. You've got to have the right equipment. You know, I learned that the squeegee is really probably the most important thing, and you got to have that nice sweeping motion that Lawrence really seems to have down. I didn't do too well. He said that his first gig was cleaning the windows of a big mansion. He was pretty nervous about it.
Thanks, man.
And said he really learned also that, you know, his life has been football. That's been his job, and he knows at some point he's going to have to leave us behind to get a real job.
you were streaky in your window washing.
Yeah, and I hope that's what my wife saw, because I don't want that to be on the honey-do list. Okay, I'm not any good at that.
Roy Hello Jr. on the first carry of the afternoon, and we saw Cody Green, the true freshman out of Dayton, Texas, about 3 hours away from Waco. He has brought a couple of busloads of people, including his high school football coach, Jerry Stewart. He said, I know after the game, Coach Stewart's just going to tell me what I did wrong. But he is an exciting freshman, a true dual threat at that quarterback spot. Zach Lee not getting the start today. On 2nd and 6. Green's first pass a little bit low. Let's take a look at Nebraska's offense. Scoreless 8 of the last 12 quarters in Big 12 play. The line, one senior, Jacob Hickman, dinged up last week. He's going to be alternating with Mike Caputo at center and in the skill positions.
Well, we know about Cody Green, but Helu Jr. starting to get healthy once again. Sean Watson wants to pound the football and look for them to try to do that here today, especially with the young quarterback in there.
Keep an eye on Kyrie Cooper for Nebraska, number 6, getting the start, the redshirt freshman out of Shreveport, Louisiana. We had a flag on the play.
There is no foul on the play. The flag was thrown for offensive pass interference. However, the ball did not cross the line. 3rd down.
Okay, we did have a flag, just no fouls. We take a look at Bo Pelini. Very frustrated, but I tell you what, talking to him this week, Kelly, it was impressive. He said, listen, what's happened the last 2 weeks is on me. He took ownership of it.
Yeah, and his players know that he's going to do that. They can believe and have confidence that their head coach is, in a sense, going to have their back. And he says there's no time to panic. You can't improve if you're out there overreacting to things, and they know they have to do things better offensively, but he likes what he's seeing defensively.
Last 3 opening drive, no points and only 1 first down for the Huskers. Trying to change that. Here's Cody Green. He is dangerous when he runs. He turns on the speed, sees the seam, and gets over the 40 to about the 43-yard line before Jeremy Williams brought him down. Kelly, that's what you and I saw in the first game against Florida Atlantic, where he had that burst of 49 yards.
Well, and everything that happens before he gets out of the pocket probably isn't his strong suit as a young quarterback, but this is his strong suit right there, breaking down the defense with his feet. It's all instincts, Ron. Once the play's over and you have to try to keep it alive, that's where I think Cody Green is going to be at his best today.
6'4", 220 pounds. Here's Hello. Over the 45 to the 46-yard line. Let's take a look at the Baylor defense. 17 different players have started on the line. They plug in the middle is Trey Bryant. He's out of Dallas, Texas. And the linebackers, they make a lot of tackles, Kelly.
They're a good group, but I would look for this group to try to blitz more today, to try to rattle this young quarterback more than they normally do.
And in the secondary, Chance Casey, true freshman from Crosby, Texas. He's played well, and he's getting the start at cornerback as Nebraska calls a timeout. Nebraska takes a timeout, and so will we. Bo Pelini and company lead it by a touchdown. Offensive coordinator for Nebraska is Sean Watson. He is down on the field today. We haven't seen that since '07, and it's because of the young quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's the relationship that they have, and as a young quarterback, it's very comforting. You can look right into the eyes of your offensive coordinator. They can make adjustments on the run.
Cody Green gets up to midfield. That'll set up short yardage situation.
During the week, Sean Watson told us that at the very least, regardless of who was playing quarterback, they needed to get their quarterback into the run game more often, and you could see that now. There's even more of an emphasis on it because Cody Green has that ability more than Zach Lee does, and you've already seen Cody Green with the ball in his hand running the ball here this afternoon.
Now Trey Robinson joins him in the backfield, and he's got the football, looking for some running room to the 45-yard line. That'll be good for a first down. Atchison and Pavelik on the stop. And one of the things they also told us, they are going to have a rotation at running back.
And where it starts is up front with that offensive line. You can see him coming off in that zone scheme, coming off in unison, trying to get to that second level. They're led by Jacob Hickman. He's that throwback type of Nebraska offensive lineman. Very mobile, but still very physical at the point of attack.
On 1st and 10, 7:50 left in the first. Green looks left, looks in the slant in, caught, close to a first down, ball is loose. Baylor says they have it. The official says it was down. Brandon Kinney on the reception, the sophomore out of Kansas City, only his 5th catch of the year.
Nebraska fans were thinking deja vu all over again.
Yeah.
They faked the bubble screen. Cody Green zips it into that slant route, and they called him down. It was very close, but this happened, what, 8 times last week, and there was some just like this, where it was a good throw, a good catch, and they fumbled it on the way down to the ground.
Well, the ground cannot cause a fumble in college football.
That's a great call right there.
Well, the guys to our right up in the booth are going to look at it again, and our Browse is hoping that there is a turnover. You know, we talked to him about it and said, listen, you know, your guys have to look at that game and say, wow, we got a shot at this. And he goes, no, we can't. We can't expect them to toss the ball around on the field like they did last week versus Iowa State.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thought because it doesn't happen very often. Nebraska had taken very good care of the ball coming into last week. So that was why it was so shocking to guys like Sean Watson. Just didn't expect that. But it was the way that they were fumbling the ball. Some were uncontested. Niles Paul is running down the field with a touchdown, a 74-yarder, and he fumbles it not once but twice on the same play.
Well, one of the things Sean Watson told us, they have to learn to fall with the ball, he was telling us. He said they work on ball security. They do it every week. They address the issue coming out of fall drills. 2 times a week they do ball security drills, and they have a circuit. They do it with wet balls.
How about that the monkey roll drill that he talked about? That I remember that drill. And flashing back a little bit, maybe we can get Lou and his 2 sons to demonstrate that on the field later. But what they do is you have a ball in each arm, and you have to roll and then jump over the next guy and stand up real quick. But with the ball in each arm, that would be incredibly hard to do.
Keep it high and tight, he told his receivers and his running backs when carrying the ball today. Well, let's get the word on the replay.
After further review, the play stands as called. First down.
Couldn't find anything to overturn it, in other words. So a pickup of 10 on the play.
There's a whole lot of people in red right now in the stadium saying, oh, maybe it's not like last week.
The football gods looking out. You see the crowds. Nebraska people, they've got about half the stadium.
Right?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it. They were so much fun in the hotel last night, the Nebraska people. Green will put it up again. And he short hops it. Intended for Niles Paul. Could have hit the cutoff man.
And Niles Paul actually fell down coming out of his break, and I think Cody Green recognized that right as he's getting ready to pull the trigger and kind of took a little bit off and threw it into the ground.
Niles Paul coming out of camp, and you and I have talked about this extensively. He was the target guy, and the question was who would be behind him. And I don't think they've answered it this part of the season.
You're right. I think they're over mid-season now, and Sean Watson is still looking for guys to target the football to. And really what that means is in our pass game, who are we going to look to get into downfield?
Here's Robinson. He has stood up right at the line of scrimmage. Nice job by that defensive line of Baylor and also middle linebacker Joe Pavelic. It is a beautiful sunshiny day in Waco, Texas. Temperature in the high 50s, expected to go up to the high 60s today at Floyd Casey Stadium. Big 12 football. Nebraska leading Baylor after a block punt return for a touchdown, 7-0. Along with Kelly and Lewis, I'm Ron. Good to have you with us today. 3rd down and 9 for the Huskers. Green, a deep drop, looking plenty of time. Now he scrambles, trying to get to the outside, needs a block, doesn't get it, puts his head down as he gets inside the 30, and he is met straight up by Joe Pavelic and Chance Casey. He took a shot.
And you can see that Cody Green is used to running the football. He tucked it early, meaning I'm now a runner of the ball and not a passer. And right here, 6'4", 220, he's going to get after the defense. He's used to and comfortable running the football. And that's Chance Casey, another true freshman, number 39 from Baylor, coming up to make that tackle. You better bring your lunch if you do that with Cody Green.
Alex Henry, a 45-yarder, 22 straight inside the 50-yard line, and make it 23 in a row inside the 50. Alex Henry, the most accurate field goal kicker in Nebraska history, even this early in his career. He gets the 3. Now this season, college football is on Versus.com. And we also have some good games coming up for you. Number 6 TCU visits San Diego State. That'll be coming up immediately following our game. 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central Time, right here on Versus.
I think TCU is that BCS buster. You can see right there the 7-0 record. They're running the football. They play great defense. You can see that very few teams are able to convert on 3rd down. They can't drive the ball. TCU has it all in their hands, Ron. I think they're headed to a big one if they can just take care of business.
Gary's done a great job at TCU.
I think on that last drive, I think both sides of the field are happy. Nebraska and Cody Green's first true drive as a quarterback, they get points on the board, but Baylor found out a way to get off the field on 3rd and long. They haven't been good at that this year. They're 108th in the country, last in the conference at getting off the field, and they did a nice job on that drive.
Well, Baylor needs something. They haven't had a first quarter touchdown since their final non-conference game against Kent State. Terrence Williams set to receive. Canaleck's kick, and for the third time it'll go deep into the end zone. Well, he's 3 for 3 on kickoffs and touchbacks today. Oh, we talked about the North at the top of our show, but the South standings, of course, all eyes are in Stillwater, Oklahoma tonight because the top 2 teams will be meeting, with the Longhorns taking on the Cowboys. Oklahoma, an outside shot at it. Texas Tech, very big game today also. A&M, big win last week. And, of course, Baylor standing at the bottom, 0-3 in conference play. 13 straight losing seasons for the Baylor Bears. And they're the only Big 12 team without a win over Nebraska in the last 6 years. Now they take over 1st and 10 from their own 20 with 5:43 left in the first. Finley being chased, gets away, gets the corner, and he is pushed out of bounds at about the 27-yard line. Pickup of 7 on the play for Finley. You know, one of the things we saw Finley last year, he really kind of broke out. He became more of a north-south runner. I think early on in his career, Kelly, he was kind of a jitterbug guy.
Well, you had the jitterbug guy in Robert Griffin, as we see Baylor once again taking a quick snap.
Not going anywhere is Ndamukong Suh on the stop.
But last year, Finley didn't have to play really the jitterbug type of guy because you had Robert Griffin in there. I think now with Griffin out, the run game has to find some way to get to the edges. That's what they've lacked. Finley got hurt. He's getting healthy. Look for our Briles to try to get Finley to the edge here today.
Now they bring in a couple of tight ends in Taylor and Akers. 3rd down and 2. Kendall right, wide to the right. Lawrence looks for his tight end. They've got it to Justin Akers, the senior out of Deer Park, Texas. He gets the first down, his 14th reception of the year.
So what Baylor will do is they will spread you out, and they force the defense to play in space. But then Akers, that tight end, they do a nice job of using him against that nickel coverage. He's a big-bodied back. He can find those voids in that zone defense, and that was a good example of it on that play.
And a rather simple throw, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and that's the key right now for Nick Florence.
Now Florence, no pressure. Here it comes. The defense moves up. Oh, he takes a hit as he throws it out, and there's going to be a penalty flag. Art Briles ran on the field. Gomes leveled Florence. I mean, that's a slobber knocker denture check. And boy, I tell you what, that was a dangerous hit by Gomes.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 99 of the defense. The penalty will be 15 yards.
Totally disagree with this call. I think Gomes, it isn't late and it's not head-to-head. If it's roughing the passer, that's not right.
Yeah.
The ball was still in the picture right there. I know you have to protect the quarterback and the defenseless player, but that's a poor call right there in my opinion.
He didn't lead with his head.
Absolutely. They didn't call helmet to helmet.
Yeah.
They called roughing the passer. That means it was late, and I think, or extracurricular, and it was neither as far as I'm concerned on that play.
And it wasn't on 99. Lawrence keep Kendall right with the snap, and he scampers out of bounds at about the 44-yard line. Eric Haig rushing him out of bounds.
We've seen some good examples of what we talked about at the top. Art Briles finding a way to get the ball to his speed guys. And Wright is that, and Smith is that. You have to find ways, Ron, especially in the run game. Bring those wide receivers into the backfield and let them carry the football that way.
Now Geddes goes wide to the right. Chris Burke joins him in the slot. At 2nd and 5. It leans forward, maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. Jared Crick already 2 tackles this afternoon.
Jared Crick doing a nice job of keeping his eye on the quarterback, and I think Nick Florence actually wasn't faking that pass. He wanted to get rid of it on the quick inside slant early. It wasn't there. Tried to get the first down. Jared Crick was buying none of it.
Well, we see the defensive tackles for Nebraska read the guards and they play the center, they like to say. Now it's 3rd down and 4.
is where you really get nice one-on-one matchups out there with the safety not really close enough to help out.
And Art Briles had to call a timeout because Florence did not look up and see the play clock was down to 1. And so Baylor will be charged with a timeout. Well, coming up at halftime, stay tuned for the Nissan Heisman Watch. And I tell you, this far into the season, usually we have sort of a clear-cut favorite. I don't think we have one.
I don't think we do either. I still think that Colt McCoy, Texas, Tim Tebow at Florida have the inside track. I think they still have enough of the season, some big games remaining, where if they do something statistically, I think there's a sense out there those two guys are still the favorite. But I don't think if an offensive lineman, or excuse me, an offensive player, Ron, doesn't step up, why not throw Ndamukong Suh into the mix?
I'm waiting for somebody to bring up Toby Gerhart for Stanford. I think
that's a good example as well. The point is that the Heisman race is certainly wide open.
Now the situation, Nebraska facing 3rd down and 4, 3:17 to go in the opening quarter. And I would think this is one of those possessions you have to get something out of it. They go with 2 wide receivers to the right. Finley in the backfield. Florence on the run. Throws it. Wright's got it. He's got the first down to about the 34-yard line. So we talked about how Kendall Wright challenged himself coming into this game, and the former high school quarterback and freshman All-American has stepped up today.
Well, the inside receiver is right. He's just going to run an out route. The outside receiver, you can see right there, clears number 5 from Nebraska, Anthony West, out, and so there's nobody out in that flat area.
And we've got another timeout. I think they're going to review this play also. That'll be our 3rd review. Wow. Now we got to mention, though, the last couple of weeks they've had false alarm pages to the referee, and we talked to the Big 12 officials prior to the game, and they said we hope we had it fixed. But a lot of time the referee was being paged, but it really wasn't. And I think that's going to be the case here. They got to send the entire unit in to fix it.
There was no review. It was a malfunction of the pager system. First down.
Fans aren't going to like that. It's a little disruptive for the players. The fans don't like it, but I think it messes with the rhythm of the game. But what can you do about it? I think the system as a whole is working fine, but let's find a new pager.
It's been 3 weeks.
You're exactly
I mean, it's
right.
Like, you know, come on. You know, it's broken, fix it. So now Baylor will have it 1st and 10, ball on the 33-yard line. Just about 3 minutes left to go in quarter number 1. Nebraska changing personnel on defense. 3 wide receivers now to the left as Art Briles again spreads things out. The empty backfield. Florence pumps right, and he is going to be dropped back at the 37-yard line by Jared Crick. 3 tackles and a sack today for Crick so far. That is sack number 4.5 for him on the year.
Well, Baylor is trying to find a way to get down the field, and this is the fake bubble screen. This receiver's going to clear out. You have the bubble screen over on the other side. Florence wants to go deep off the pump fake. Nebraska does a nice job of defending the quick pass, and then obviously the defensive line of Nebraska gets to Florence.
5 wide receivers set. Florence sees pressure again. Throws it up for Wright, and it's going to be intercepted. Dejon Gomes, the junior out of Hayward, California, who had the personal foul penalty. He comes up with the pick. That is his 2nd in a Nebraska uniform.
Defensive coordinator Carl Pelini told us, Ron, during the week that the speed of Baylor really scares him. He didn't sleep a whole lot because Nebraska's had their issues defending the deep pass. So he said every time they get someone going vertical, you'll see the route coming in from the right on the deep post pattern, but look at the 2 Nebraska defenders, one over the top and Gomes underneath, and Gomes goes up, more importantly, and finishes the play with an interception.
Nebraska came in, no turnovers in the last 2 games. And Nebraska just goes straight to the run game. Up to about the 28-yard line. Roy Helu Jr. had a chance to talk to him before the game. He said he's feeling a lot better. He's had this problem with the shoulder, and it looks kind of ginger there.
You're exactly right.
Said he had an AC joint problem and a stinger all in consecutive weeks.
And Ron, what you saw on the screen right there is that gets aggravated. It seems like every time he hits the ground, it looked like he wasn't in good shape coming off the sideline.
Well, he sets up second and short. Just about one. Cody Green looks, dumps it off to Trey Robinson. Robinson's first reception as a Nebraska Cornhusker. And that'll set up third down and short. Didn't gain anything on that play.
I think Trey Robinson, he was the outlet receiver on that swing route. Cody Green does a nice job looking downfield, coming off to the outlet. Trey Robinson has to duck his head and know where the first down marker is. He's a big back. He just kind of went out of bounds. Get up, Bill, to get that first down.
Well, Mike Hicks, the nickelback, made the stop. Now it's third down and one. Legate is the fullback. They get the one and then some. Robinson breaks into Baylor territory down to the 48-yard line. Jordan Lake finally corralling him.
Number 68, Keith Williams, he's the left guard. He pulls and leads this play and absolutely opens up the parting of the Red Sea right here. Keith Smith's going to come from that side. The big body gets upfield, gets squared, does a nice job of getting Robinson much more than just the foot that they needed to pick up that first down.
23 yards on the pickup, the longest of his career. Robinson this time stood up after a pickup of about 2 on the play. As we go inside 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
And Ron, I think Sean Watson right now is doing a nice job of getting Cody Green kind of settled into this game. It seems complicated what Nebraska's doing offensively. There's a lot of different personnel things going on, and a lot of formationing, but the plays for Cody Green are still pretty basic in the run game and in the pass game.
This probably be the final play of the first quarter. Green fakes it, dumps it off. A lot of running room to Kyler Reed, the redshirt freshman out of Shawnee, Kansas, and that is a big gain. We'll call it 22 as Reed is down.
And he's holding his right knee. It didn't look like he was able to get his foot off the ground before he took that big hit.
And that'll be the end of quarter number 1. We'll take a break. Nebraska leads at 10-0, and we will update Reed's condition when we come back. Streak in Texas dating back to 2006 versus Texas A&M. Along with Lewis Johnson, Kelly Stauffer, I'm Ron Thulin, welcoming you back to Waco, Texas, where the Huskers lead at 10-0 as we begin quarter number 2. Cody Green, the freshman, hit as he throws it, has a man, and it is short. The fact that Cody Green even got rid of that football, Kelly, was pretty impressive.
Mike McNeil, that inside tight end, trying to get down the seam, and Cody Green under pressure, probably ill-advised to throw this considering the traffic, but you're right, Ron, it was amazing that he could get this much on it. This wasn't actually far from being a reception. He had McNeil down around the goal line. A good job of Cody Green just getting that ball off.
Nice pressure put on by Phil Taylor, the defensive tackle, the transfer from Penn State. Here's Robinson, tries to look for the outside and doesn't get it, but he does get down to the 20-yard line. Pickup of about 4 on the play. That'll set up a third down and 6 situation for the Huskers. You know, we're seeing a young quarterback, obviously, as we see both teams with 5 first downs in Cody Green, but he's dealing with young wide receivers. Yeah. Does that hurt or help your maturation process?
It certainly doesn't help. I guarantee you that. As a quarterback, when you're learning things, you hope that things around you are stabilized, and right now they're really not. Sean Watson talked about that. And that was probably the hesitation to go in with Cody Green before. If you're young around the young quarterback, it makes things more demanding.
Niles Paul moving around as Green drops straight back, has a man close to the first down, dropped at about the 13-yard line. Is Kyrie Cooper, the redshirt freshman out of Shreveport, Louisiana.
That's one of those young receivers coming down, and he's just going to set. He's the outside receiver. He's going to eventually set down inside. That open window, you saw the defender move out of the way. That means you're now open. Stay there and let the quarterback have a defined throw. Cody Green does a nice job of putting it on Cooper.
Now they're in the red zone, and versus BCS teams, Nebraska only 29% in this territory. Robinson getting the workload. We saw Roy Helu Jr. go off a few plays ago and didn't look completely healthy. And so Robinson's getting the workload. And this is an area that Nebraska has to improve on, Kelly, because you look in the last couple of games in the red zone, just 3 of 9, only 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
Yeah, a little over half the time they get down here, they get touchdowns, and that certainly isn't good enough. And in the games that they've lost, the Iowa State game, they fumbled the ball away in the red zone, and against Virginia Tech, they had trips to the red zone where they couldn't convert into touchdowns either.
Drew Young in motion. Looking. Thrown away. Pass was intended for Ben Cotton, the redshirt freshman out of Ames, Iowa, whose dad is Barney Cotton, the assistant head coach and offensive line coach for the Huskers. And Bo Pelini very secretive this week about Cody Green, saying we're not going to make a decision until game time, and we didn't find out till earlier this morning, so he was true to his word.
And I don't think there was really any benefit to making that decision earlier than this morning. Both quarterbacks got equal reps from what we understand in practice, so what's the difference? Make a decision on game day.
On 3rd down. Now they're about the 5-yard line. They need to get 3. Cody Green showing his versatility. You know, we were talking to Mike Eckler, the linebacker coach, who actually was the man responsible for recruiting Cody Green at Dayton, Texas. He said Jerry Stewart, his high school coach, told him that at one playoff game, a semifinal, they were down at halftime. He said Cody Green got up in the locker room and said, guys, you got to get on my back. He is a competitor and he hates losing.
That's exactly, I think, what Nebraska needs offensively right now. That spark to try to ignite this offense to go with, I think, a championship-style defense.
And Alex Henry 2 for 2 today, 24 straight field goals made inside the 50-yard line, but they wanted the 7. They have to settle for 3, and they lead it by 13. Now the Nebraska contingent in full force, taking up about, I'd say, close to half the stadium when you look at both sides. And the Baylor fans hoping something good happens as they're also trying to snap a losing streak. And of course it is Halloween. And we'd love to show you the truck as our guys are all dressed up in Halloween cotton. Oh no, that's the regular
really?
stuff.
Oh, that, yeah,
sorry.
I was going to say.
My bad.
Didn't look any scarier than usual.
Now, Terrence Williams now standing back in his end zone, but so far Baylor been very unlucky trying to get Adi Kanalik, the sophomore, to kick a ball in play. Everyone's been out of the end zone. This one kicking against the wind is going to be short. Williams will take it. Boy, you can hear the pads popping up here. Able to get up to about the 20-25-yard line. That's where Baylor will take over. Along with Kelly Stauffer, I'm Ron Thulin. Now I think the question is, what have we seen so far? Because Baylor looked like they were starting to move the football, then nothing.
And then nothing. I think what Baylor's MO right now is they can't string together good plays and drive the football to get points. And I think that starts with the quarterback. Nick Florence isn't really doing anything drastically wrong, but he's not doing anything special either. The playmakers around him have to turn short passes into big chunks of yardage because they're not able to drive the football currently.
That's a question we asked at the top of the show. Where will Baylor get their points? Trying to establish some type of run game, which is so essential in an Art Briles offense, and Jay Finley gets nothing as Crick already with his 4th stop of the afternoon.
See, that's a problem against Nebraska in particular, is they like to really have a run fit with usually 5 guys. They're down 4 linemen and then a linebacker. It's usually Dillard that will fit into that run because they keep their nickel in most of the time. They're very difficult to run the football on.
Well, Baylor averaging about 46 yards rushing during Big 12 play. That will not cut it against Nebraska. They only allow 84 yards rushing in Big 12 play. Lawrence trying to string it out, and he's not going to outrun the defense. And again, it is Jared Crick. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Hey, Ron, a few moments ago we saw Nebraska's tight end Tyler Reed come off the field limping. Well, a few moments ago the trainers got together. They had him on the bench. They were looking at that right knee, that right lower leg. Had a big discussion. Reed jumped up and was trying to move around, but he was still hobbling a bit, so not quite sure if he's coming back in the game. And one other quick update on Ray Helu, the running back. Pelini told me before the game, said, look, this guy's just a little beat up, like a lot of running backs are this time of the year, but he had a good week. They're hoping that he can continue throughout this game. That's what Pelini's expecting.
Well, he told me he had a lot of therapy throughout the week. Didn't practice as Kendall Wright tries to get the pass that was thrown behind him. Not able to snag it. You know, one of the things that Art Briles and everybody from Baylor was talking about as we see the job is that one thing about Nick Florence is he doesn't make the same mistake twice. And this young man is in the learning process right now.
Well, the mistake he's making is just not very... He hasn't been accurate thus far. He has open receivers, and Nick Florence knows it right there. The window of opportunity against Nebraska's defense is going to close quickly, and so he has to hit Kendall Wright in situations like that.
This will be the third punt for Epperson, and again, great pressure. Nebraska getting close again. Here's Niles Paul from the 38. Gets the corner, tiptoes down, and finally cannot keep the toes in bounds. They'll mark him out at the 46-yard line. 38 yards on the kick, 17 on the return. Nebraska with good field position. Located in Waco, Texas is the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And of course, if you talk Baylor football, there's the man that really built this program, is Grant Taft. And George Foreman, an Olympic medal, heavyweight champion. And he makes a mighty fine grill, which is perfect with that shot, isn't it? Cody Green goes back to work. He's going deep down the far sideline, has a man, and it is caught. Niles Paul, 45 yards on the reception.
Just based on the formation, Cody Green knows that he has one-on-one outside, and Niles Paul just runs a go route. Gets quickly onto Atchison's feet, throws a nice ball over the shoulder. Cody Green threw that ball 50 yards in the air, flat-footed, and right on the money. Man, a big-time arm.
And I think Nebraska may be calling a timeout here. Niles Paul, said his goal for 2009 was to be dependable. We can see the career high last week versus Iowa State in the loss. Well, second time out called by Nebraska. But, you know, you go to talk about Bo Pelini and Niles Paul. Niles Paul came in at Nebraska, and he was, by his own admission, he was uncoachable. And he really didn't buy into things, and now he has.
Sean Watson talked to us about that earlier in the year when we were in there a couple of times, and it really has meant a lot to that receiving core to have a guy like Niles Paul buy into what Nebraska's now doing offensively. And he's probably the one target guy that they've been able to count on. But you really need a second, even a third, that hasn't emerged yet.
Now this season, college football is on Versus.com. Sign up and play the College Football Pick'em Challenge. Compete against your friends for bragging rights, or see how you stack up against studio analyst Roland Williams. For everything college football, log on to Versus.com. First and goal, ball is down the 1-yard line after the big completion from Cody Green to Niles Paul. And they'll go from the I formation. Roy Helu Jr. back into the lineup. He's got the football. And that will be, they're signaling it down at about the 1-foot line. The linesman came in and was marking it probably 6-8 inches away from pay dirt.
I would expect Nebraska to just line up and do this again. They got big. Tyler Legate, the fullback, is in there. You can see him kicking out. And he jumps up inside. I did not see him come up short in that.
Unless the knee hit. Now Robinson in the I formation. Second and goal. Here's Robinson up over the top, and he is into the end zone. Touchdown. Nebraska fans around the state of Nebraska have to be cheering because this is a different Nebraska team today. You know, you and I were talking earlier in the week how we felt that maybe this Nebraska offense was just pressing a little bit too much with the young players. Young guys trying too hard, trying to make plays. As Henry gets the extra point. Perfect on the year. Big pass, set it up, Kelly.
Nebraska's been looking for that spark, and it appears that Cody Green is just that. The big play downfield to Niles Paul is the big chunk of yardage, and then Trey Robinson goes airborne to cash it in. Nebraska is finding a way to get it in zone today.
All right, thanks so much. Of course, you'll have us updating all the scores and highlights coming up at halftime. And you see Sean Watson is not up in the booth. The offensive coordinator is down on the sideline talking to Roy Hello Jr. and Trey Robinson, the true freshman out of Trinity High School in Euless, Texas. And the true freshman Cody Green. Impressive so far in this first half.
Yeah, really doing everything that's asked of him. He's making nice reads, being very decisive, which is the big thing for me as a young quarterback. You want to see him make good, quick decisions, and he's been doing that this afternoon.
This time, Canale's kick again is going to be short. It'll be Williams inside the 5. Right up the middle. Takes a hit, keeps moving up over the 30 to the 32-yard line. Justin Blatchford, who's got the blocked kick for a touchdown on the punt, in on the tackle. You know, we were talking about Iowa just a few moments ago. Iowa losing, and currently they're number 4 in the BCS standings. And you and I were talking during the break. I love Kirk Ferentz, but they've kind of been living on fumes the last few weeks.
They really have. All the injuries at the running back position is their big issue, but really it comes down to Florida and Alabama are going to cannibalize themselves, and then if Texas can remain strong, that's probably your BCS championship game going forward.
Lawrence with a little razzle-dazzle, shuttling it to Kendall Wright, or check that, to Jay Finley. It's considered a run. Interesting play.
Yeah, and I don't know it's exactly designed that way. Florence looked like he actually wanted to keep that ball, but saw Finley in the last second, threw it out to him. Not advised to do that often, but right now Baylor has to find something to get going.
Well, they've lost 22 straight games when trailing at halftime, and they're down 20-0 now. Florence looks, throws, short pass complete. Brad Taylor, the junior out of Madisonville, Texas, former quarterback himself. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Guys, the Baylor defense down here trying to pull things together. Their defensive coordinator Brian Norwood had to kind of get the troops under control. A couple of guys upset when they came off the field, but he is coaching back and forth with his assistants. They're right now, body language says they're still in this thing, but they need to keep it close right now with the score 20-0.
That's a good report, Brian Norwood. There's no quit in him, and Jordan Lake telling me Thursday that there's no quit in this defense. He and Joe Pavelik, the leaders of this Baylor D. Back on offense. Lawrence keeps it. Boy, there is just not anything there. Philip Dillard coming up from that linebacker spot, who's one of the great stories this season, number 52. Began the year, wasn't even playing, was like third-team linebacker. Prior to the Virginia Tech game, they said, we need somebody out there that can play fast. They moved him from the Mike to the Will, and Kelly, the rest is history.
And what they did, Ron, is it freed up his mind. The Mike linebacker has so many responsibilities from the mental aspect of it. They free him up to the will, and he's been playing fast ever since.
If you were to define how to make a sack, ladies and gentlemen, that would be the video portion. Jared Crick had the blocker in front of him and just detonated him.
Well, if you can't beat the block outright, go ahead and just take him back to the quarterback with you. That's what Jared Crick decides to do right there. A good move, quick outside, and Jared Crick is starting to learn how to win next to Ndamukong Suh. All the attention that Suh gets, Crick understands he's going to be one-on-one. He beat the one-on-one right there, and the true freshman Ivory Wade, number 76.
Yep. Second sack of the afternoon for Crick himself. Lawrence has some time. Pass is intercepted. Prince Amukamara coming up with his second interception of the year, but Kelly, that pass was telegraphed.
Quarterback Nick Florence certainly stares down this route from the beginning, and Amukamara is just going to break on it and actually beat the receiver to it. receiver didn't do a very good job of coming back for that ball, but you can see the inside breaking route by Lanier Sampson, and Amukamara just read it quickly and broke over the top. That's one of those things that as a quarterback, Ron, you basically have to throw it on time. You're counting on your guy winning, and Amukamara won on that play.
A block punt and 2 turnovers as Hello is stood up, losing about 2 yards on the play. But this is a team that had not forced a turnover in the previous 2 games, so the defense stepping up even more so to the challenge.
You know, which is kind of strange because Nebraska, their pressure numbers are pretty good, and tackles for loss, pressuring the quarterback. You can't run the football on them. Generally, that also translates into taking the ball away. Nebraska probably is going to get takeaways in droves right now. That just seems to be the way it works.
Watson again using multiple formations. Here's Heller again. Cuts back over the 50, still on his feet. Gets close to the 45-yard line. They'll mark him down at about the 46-yard line. And I'm sure that's a welcome sign to see that young man tote the pigskin like that.
Well, it's a good job of formationing by Nebraska. They come out real quick and go in a diamond set. They go big bodies, they're tight ends, and then they snap it quickly before the defense can really get a good look at it. And then it's not complicated from there. Just pitch it to their running back and let him get upfield.
That's 3rd down and short inside of 6 minutes left in the half. Trey Robinson back in the backfield. Nice job defensively by Baylor. Clifton Odom leading the charge from that cornerback spot.
Nebraska trying to run to the left edge, and Odom is actually a corner that sliced through from the backside. You don't just have to block the point of attack, you have to seal the backside and prevent leakage, and Odom made a nice play for Baylor on that one.
Chris Burks standing back at his 8-yard line awaiting Alex Henry's punt. Alex Henry came out as a walk-on, got his scholarship prior to the 2009 season, and this is a nice spiraling kick. And that'll be marked down at the 8-yard line. 15 inside the 20 this year. Baylor takes over. All right, thank you, Bill. Welcome back to Waco, Texas. 12th meeting between Nebraska and Baylor. Nebraska 10-1 versus the Baylor Bears. The only Baylor win was back in 1956. Now Baylor has the football with 5:02 left in the first half. Salubi with the run. Coming into that play, Baylor had only 69 total yards offense in this football game.
Nebraska doesn't give up a whole lot, and the way they're doing it right now is a lot of times Nebraska, because of what Baylor's choosing to do, spread them out. They're in their nickel most of the time, 2 linebackers, 5 nickel backs, but those nickel backs have a good feel for the run game and have a good run fit early in this one.
3 wide receivers now to the left for quarterback Nick Flores, the freshman out of Garland, Texas. A little pitch to Kendall Wright. Something out of it. Will be short of the first down, but he will pick up about 3 or 4 on the play. And Ndamukong Suh finally made the stop. You know, you talk about a guy that's a defensive tackle. He's playing like in a linebacker's body.
Another defensive lineman, 99, Barry Turner, did a nice job of actually forcing that play to have to go to that reverse mode. Does a nice job of contain. And then you're right. That shows the athleticism and the relentlessness that Suh plays with right now.
And Ernest Smith comes off the field. His left arm sort of dangling. We'll try to get an update on that. And we've got a whistle and timeout. Baylor. That'll be their 2nd timeout of the half. Let's go down to Lewis Johnson with somebody that, boy, we wish he was on the football field, Lewis.
Without question, Robert Griffin doesn't want to be here talking to me, but Robert tore the ACL. You had surgery on October 13th. You got the crutches. Where are you in terms of rehab?
Oh, right now I have about another week and a half on crutches. Then I'll be able to walk, and that's when the rehab will start getting tougher.
What do you expect to happen there?
You know, I expect to, be able to walk, first of all. That's a big thing. And then, just the battle to get back will be a little bit tougher from there on, but it'll be a battle worthwhile.
Nick Florence is going through a battle out there, the freshman quarterback. You've been talking to him back and forth through the 2 interceptions. How are you trying to help him?
I'll just try to tell him, you know, he got to calm down, try not to telegraph his passes, and just go out there and have fun. You know, he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders due to me and, you know, this whole team. But, you know, he's just got to go out there and just be strong for the team and be a good leader.
And finally, real quick, you were a star quarterback here, but quickly the game was taken away from you. Any lessons there in how fragile the sporting life can be?
Just let you know that your career can be gone in a split second, and it helps you realize that, you know, academics are really important. And, you know, for me, it's always been big, but, you know, it could be a sign to anybody else out there that, you know, you got to get your academics taken care of.
All right, good luck with that rehab. We look forward to seeing you back on the field.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Ron, here's a guy that's a political science major and has law school in his sights. Junior in the classroom and a sophomore on the field.
Yeah, well, his mother, Jacqueline, and his father, Robert, they did a great job with this young man. They're military. And, you know, we were kidding because we spent some time Thursday and also last night with Robert, but I can't even count how many yes sirs and no sirs he had in the conversation. What a great young man. 1st and 10 for Baylor. All now up on the 19-yard line, closing in on 3 minutes left to play in the opening half. Nebraska opened things up by blocking a punt in the opening quarter after Baylor's first possession. Took it in for a touchdown. Keeps it after the fake to Finley up to the 24-yard line. Pick up about 4 on the play. Cameron Meredith coming up to make the stop. The redshirt freshman out of Santa Ana, California. And there's the parents.
Great job.
Great job,
man. Absolutely.
And Jacqueline was so there you go. Stand up, take a bow.
Very impressive.
Jacqueline was so sweet on Thursday, talking about how proud she is the way Robert's handling this.
And Mama's basically moved here to Waco. They're only 45 minutes away to make sure that he still is getting that knee taken care of, getting to the classroom. And Mom and Dad did a nice job with that young man.
Now Baylor trying to get something going offensively. Florence is going to air it out, looking for Kendall Wright. That's going to be pass interference, and that was very obvious to say the least. Eric Haig looked like he just put the hand up and shoved little Kendall Wright out of the way.
Well, Haig had great coverage all the way throughout that play, and then when Haig looked back for the football, you try to keep track of that receiver. He just got a little too aggressive doing that.
Pass interference. Defense, number 28. Penalties 15 yards from the previous spot. 1st down.
Haig is one of those safeties that ends up outside, kind of bump and run man-to-man, a safety over the top. West is there to help him out, but you can see there's a tendency when you look back, Ron, you don't want to lose track of where the receiver is, but you don't have to stiff arm him and get him out of bounds, and he threw right to the ground, got called for the PI.
Well, Baylor's different than some teams. They like to force the one-on-one situations, and they just throw it up to their speedy receivers. Finley joins Florence in the backfield. They try to set up the little screen to Finley, and he's got it. Close to the 50-yard line. He'll be down to the 48-yard line. Baker Steinkühler, little brother of Ty, although he's 3 inches taller than Ty on the stop.
That's the first time we've seen the true slip screen. The offensive line invites the rush and then lets the pass rush of that down 4 get to the quarterback, and then they slip out in front of the receiver. But I think that's a good job against Nebraska. Take advantage of their aggressiveness.
Only 10 points scored by Baylor in the first half in Big 12 play this year. Trying to change that. Florence, penalty flag goes. He cannot get to the outside, but he does get back to the line of scrimmage. And look who is chasing him down. My friends, he's 6'4", 300 pounds. You know, it's funny talking to Carl Pelini. He says, you know, I grade all the players, obviously, but
59 of the offense. Penalty would be 10 yards from the previous spot. Remains 1st down.
But he says that Ndamukong Suh grades himself lower than the coaches grade him.
The great ones do that. You're always looking for the little things, and just look at the effort. That's a big man, 300 pounds, chasing the quarterback to the sideline, and I mean, that's tremendous. When a big body can move that fast, that's what got me to the booth beside you a little bit earlier than I expected. When guys get that big and that fast, it's time to leave the game.
Well, Joe Gans used to call him Ducky after a movie character. But you and I have called him Mr. Sue since we first met him. Here's Geddes, surrounded by white jerseys, and he splits them. Get back to the original line of scrimmage. That'll be at the 48-yard line. Sean Fisher, the redshirt freshman out of Omaha, Nebraska. How many times have we said redshirt freshman or freshman today?
Yeah, that's what I don't know that many people really understand is how young Nebraska is. I mean, they have some young players on the defensive side, but they have a lot of young guys on the offensive side.
Well, Jared Salubi, they tried the little shuttle pass, and nobody was fooled on that play, including Jared Crick. And we had a little extracurricular activity. Jared Crick already 7 tackles, a pass broken up, and a couple of sacks.
Yeah, Jared Crick is the real deal and benefited, like we say, from playing next to Sue, who always gets double teams. But Cameron Meredith, number 34 for Nebraska, another defensive end. He's been the one in on the extracurricular activities after the last 2 plays. He's very active as well.
Final 50 seconds, 3rd down and 12 for the Baylor Bears. Little 2-step drop. Florence, no place to go. He just put his wide receiver in some danger. It was intended for Ernest Smith. Asante on the coverage. Want to remind you, live November 18th on Versus, a belt is on the line in the WEC. Can Mike Brown continue his reign as the #1 featherweight fighter in the world, or will #1 contender Jose Aldo dethrone the champ? Brown Aldo for the featherweight title, live November 18th, only on Versus. Final 42 seconds of the opening half. It has been all Nebraska. Baylor able to muster only 103 yards offense. Boy, they are so close every time Epperson punts. Here's Powell. And I think he called a fair catch. No, his knee hit the ground at about the 16-yard line, so that's where Nebraska will take over. If you were to grade Cody Green right now, what grade would you give him, my friend?
I'd give him a solid B. I think he really hasn't done a whole lot wrong. I think he's made some nice throws. He's really managed the offense, and I know that's an overused cliche, but when you have a young quarterback, that's what you want him to do initially, is just kind of manage the structure of what you're trying to get done offensively. Don't go outside of that, and then you can kind of reach out as you get more comfortable.
After scoring only 7 points, turning the ball over 8 times last week, Nebraska has played very well defensively and well offensively. They will head to the locker room with a 20-0 lead over the Baylor Bears. And Lewis Johnson is with Coach Bo Pelini.
Hey, Bo, what a difference a week makes. I know that the game is only half over, but you've created two turnovers instead of all you've given up. What are your thoughts?
We stressed it all week. We talked about it. We just played it better. We executed better. We had a better first half, and we just got to put 60 minutes together.
And how about Cody Green at quarterback? Give us a quick thought on him, and do you stick with him, or do you put Zach Lee in sometime in the second half?
You'll probably see Zach at some point in the second half. Hopefully we can keep it going, keep the momentum going, and I thought Cody did well in the first half. He did some good things, and we just got to finish it off.
All right, Bo, we'll let you get to the locker room. Thanks a lot. Ron?
Well, October 21st, 2006 versus Kansas, the last time Baylor came back from a halftime deficit. They have since lost 23 consecutive games when trailing at intermission. Scored halftime, Nebraska leads at 20-0. Now let's join Bill Patrick, Roland Williams, Christian Fourier in our Versus studio with the Geico halftime show. Well, Art Briles told us, this week that one of the problems is they just have to play flawless in order to win a football game.
Yeah, and offensively, they're really not to that point where they can play flawlessly. I see that the last couple of weeks for sure.
Well, Nebraska will get the ball in the second half. Here is Tim Marlowe, the redshirt freshman. He had some running room, but tripped as he goes over the 20-yard line. Let's take a look at today's beat track and the highlights of today's game. Kelly?
Well, what Art Briles talked about, the Blatchford touchdown on the block punt isn't a great way for Baylor to start the day. Obviously good for Nebraska. And then Green has been good. He's thrown the ball 6 or 9 times, 85 yards, made good decisions. And then Crick has been an absolute animal up front. 7 tackles, 3 sacks. It's not just Ndamukong Suh on that front line, and that's what people have to understand. He's great, but they have 3 or 4 guys up front that can get it done.
Cody Green, the freshman who got the start, goes back to work, and the ball is tipped by Jason Lamb, who moved back to that defensive end position this week after playing defensive tackle last week. Is the nickname of Lambo. Cody Green, though, in that first half, pretty solid numbers for him. Only threw the ball 9 times, completed 6 of them.
And typically Ron made great decisions, and that's what you look for early. If he's nervous, maybe he forces things. He didn't force one pass in that first half.
Well, they go 3 wide receivers to the left, but they stick to the running game. Trey Robinson over the 50-yard line. Atchison and Williams on the stop. Here's Lewis Johnson.
And Ron, as the Baylor defense tries to stop the bleeding, I talked to Brian Norwood as he came back on the field, the defensive coordinator. I said, look, you're down 20-0. What do you need to do? Right out of the gate, he said, turnovers. First of all, they got to fight to get off blocks and somehow try to create some turnovers, try to get to Cody Green. But that's going to be the way they try and get back in this game, Baylor, to try and create some turnovers here. Let's see what happens in this first series.
And Lou, they have to get turnovers because he knows his offense isn't doing anything. So you have to at least give him the short field.
Only 1 turnover forced in 3 Big 12 games for Baylor. And now Jordan Lake, the human missile, the senior out of Houston, Texas, coming up to make the stop. That is the first tackle for a loss by Baylor this afternoon. Here's a young man that is an outstanding football player, and he told me Thursday, he goes, listen, we're not giving up, and he tries to rally the troops.
Well, that's a great example of where they have Jordan Lake in this new scheme by Brian Norwood. He used to play up along the line of scrimmage, but now he's a true safety. He still gets to the box, but he gets there, Ron, going downhill. That's a great look at it, that tackle for loss on that play.
Henry's kick, a wobbly kick. Burke standing at the 28-yard line. Looks for some running room. Breaks 1 tackle. Tries to head to the right. We have a penalty flag back at the 38-yard line. That is the first play that has given Baylor fans something to cheer about. 41 yards on the kick.
Well, this is going to go back a little bit on the. I believe it's going to be a penalty on Baylor, but it's still going to be decent field position. Probably decent field position to get a good start in this second half.
Foul on the play. The flag was originally thrown for an illegal block in the back. However, the block was from the side and legal. First down.
Well, time now for the Sports Authority dedicated to the dedicated player profile, and that is Jordan Lake, who came up with the big hit. Here's a guy that back in 2007, he created 4 turnovers himself versus Buffalo. He's also a pretty good student, as we see.
And Ron, we talked about this before the game, that Jordan Lake and Joe Pavelec, they're the workhorses on that defensive side, but they need to be extra special today to come up with those big defensive plays. Jordan Lake just came up with one.
Swing it out to Solubi. Behind the line of scrimmage, he is going to be dropped. Eric Haig coming up from that strong safety spot. Just a solid athlete back there.
Well, you can see the depth in that secondary for Nebraska has grown since we were in there early in the year. And Gomes and Haig are doing a nice job. Dennard is another one that got hurt a little earlier, but he's playing well. They all of a sudden have depth in that secondary.
And they're playing very disciplined in the secondary. Smith and Sampson wide to the left. Lawrence looks, has time, look out. And he is going to be sacked for the 4th time in the ball game, and the 4th sack by Jared Crick. Crick came in with 3.5 sacks on the year. He has 4 today.
We just talked about Nebraska's secondary, and this is really a coverage sack. The defensive line continues to work hard, and Crick is one of them, and Barry Turner gets there about the same time. But great coverage downfield a lot of times will result in what we saw in that play.
Well, that time Danny Watkins was getting beat. Ivory Wade, the left guard, has gotten beat by Crick. So Crick is an equal opportunity guy. He'll beat anybody on the line. Pass over the middle. Kendall right. One-hands it. First down inside the 25-yard line. 28 yards on the reception for the sophomore out of Pittsburgh, Texas.
Kendall Wright is matched up on number 28, Eric Haig, but it took a very nice throw, a great catch, because the window isn't very big that Nick Lawrence is having to throw through right now. That's the kind of play that Baylor has to make in order to drive the football and get points.
Well, Kendall Wright had 50 catches last year. One of the best freshman years in Baylor history, trying to do something in his sophomore season. Terrence Ganaway, helmet comes flying out of the pack. Nice run by the sophomore out of DeKalb, Texas. Played for Art Briles down at the University of Houston. 07, he rushed for over 500 yards and had 6 touchdowns.
See J.D. Dalton trying to put his lid back on right there, but a good running play up in the red zone. Philip Blake, number 74, the right tackle, steps around and leads the running back up inside, and that's what you have to do against Nebraska. Keep them off balance. You have to have some kind of running game against this black shirt defense.
And we have an illegal substitution. Couldn't get a player off the field. Last 3 games, by the way, Baylor in the red zone only 3 times.
Illegal substitution, 12 men on the field against the offense. Penalty would be 5 yards, remain second down.
Lewis.
Ron Baylor really had an emotional surge on that first defensive series. They got the stop by Jordan Lake. And let me tell you something. When he came to the sideline, Lake was absolutely assaulted by his teammates. The defensive coordinator, Brian Norr, was going crazy. But the way they need to get this third quarter started, this second half down 20-0, is not just to live on that, but they need to score right here.
Yeah, Lewis, keep an eye on that, because that's very important in that bench area, that energy that Lake gave them. See if they can maintain that and turn it into something positive in the second half.
And we have whistles. And that'll be a procedure penalty, and that'll back them up 5 more, which will set up a second and 14.
False start. Number 59 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
I think you might get a little jumpy if you're Watkins and Wade if Crick has been beating you like a running mule all day.
Yeah, I think you're right. But remember, Baylor was 2nd and 4 in the red zone, okay? They get the first penalty for illegal substitution. They go to 2nd and 9. Now another penalty, they go to 2nd and 14. That sack by Crick earlier in this drive was their 5th negative play on 2nd down. They're doing a decent job on first and not even bad on third, but they're miserable on 2nd down.
Lawrence, the fake, looking for Wright, up in the air. Incomplete. Wright split the 2 cover guys. Anthony West was one of them. He actually had a chance to bring that down.
We actually saw this play in the first half. The fake bubble screen and try to get right down the sideline. But this is what Carl Pelini told us, the defensive coordinator of Nebraska. Any vertical route, they're going to try to get them underneath and over the top, and that's a good example of it. Asante and West basically double covering right down the sideline.
And he came off limping, Kendall Wright did. I think it was a good pass. Should have been caught.
And all of a sudden, after a decent start in the red zone, 3rd and 4, or 2nd and 4 has become 3rd and 14.
Average on 3rd down, almost 8 yards for Nebraska, for Baylor. Lawrence is going to be dropped. And Dominican Sue. That's only his 3rd tackle of the ball game, but trust us, he has been disruptive all afternoon.
And that's what it is up front. You can see right there, he's double teamed, so he's just basically going to turn into a spy and become contained. But then once Nick Lawrence breaks that contain, it's Sue with his speed getting on the quarterback.
And now Ben Parks will attempt a 41-yard field goal. He's 0 for 2 from this distance this year. And that'll split the uprights. So Ben Parks, the sophomore out of Argyle, Texas, finally gets Baylor on the board. They trail Nebraska 20-3. Welcome back to Waco, Texas, where the Baylor Bears get on the board for the first time this afternoon. Ben Parks, his first field goal over 40 yards this season. But it's 20-3. Nebraska on top, along with Lewis Johnson, Kelly Stauffer. I'm Ron Thulin. Hope you're having a wonderful Halloween day.
Is that what it is?
It is Halloween
day?
Which is fitting when
Christmas Eve day. And
well, it's fitting that Oklahoma State and Texas are playing because there'll be a lot of orange up there tonight. Orange, I'm sorry. From about the 2-yard line. Here's Tim Marlowe, and he takes a wallop. Pushed back to the 15-yard line. And some of our crew members' kids that we have forced our kids to dress up. And that is our producer's little daughter. Isabella and his other daughter. That's Kate. Some of the costumes are pretty good. That is actually one of our crewmen's daughters. My 2 daughters.
Who is that?
There's that is not Kelly. That is your son.
Yeah, Max is all of 13, and he's going on 6 feet tall. And the rest of the posse there. That's nice.
We all thought it was you. We first saw it.
How many trick-or-treaters out on the ranch in our place?
Yeah, I was going to say, unless they're a cow. And the Baylor defense coming up strong. Robinson.
There's a little energy out there right now. Do you sense that?
Well, you know, it's talking to the Baylor players on Thursday. They were frustrated. There was a sense of frustration because they know they were better than that. And I'll be honest with you, the Thursday practice was one of the most spirited practices I've seen this year. These guys were getting after each other. And you got to, tip your hat to the coaching staff on that. 2nd down and 9. Green swings it out to the left side. Passes complete to Kyrie Cooper. Up to the 23-yard line. Jordan Lake with his 4th stop of the afternoon. But I like this Kyrie Cooper. Drafted by the Los Angeles Angels back in '08 as an outfielder. An outstanding prospect in football, too.
He's one of those young, skilled position players for Nebraska, but I think Cody Green right here in these 3rd down situations, he'll learn very quickly in the Big 12 and any BCS conference. You have to get it done as a quarterback on 3rd down.
Here comes the pressure. They set up a little screen to Robinson, and he is upended. He will be short of the 1st down by about 2 yards. Pavelic with 7 tackles this afternoon, the senior out of Spring Branch, Texas.
And it's Jordan Lake, and now it's Joe Pavelic, those leaders on the defensive side coming up with plays in order to get off the field and let their offense get that ball back once again. There's a lot of energy right now on that Baylor sideline. These people are starting to get a little involved in this game, and this is their opportunity. You have to get it while the getting's good. The door is open. See if they can get it done offensively right now.
You said at halftime, we've got to start calling Lake and Pavelic more if Baylor had a chance to win this football game. Looking up into the sun at the 34-yard line. Chris Burke down at the 35-yard line.
Ron, we talked about the leaders on this team, Jordan Lake before, now Joe Pavelic coming up with a great play. Why not the defense get this emotion going in this crowd? You never know what it takes to turn the game around.
What are you going for as Halloween? iPhone. Give me a piece of cardboard, I'll cut a hole in it. Welcome back to Waco, Texas. Nebraska trying to snap a 2-game losing skid. 5th straight year. They've lost consecutive games in October. Before 05, they went 36 straight seasons without this happening. And right now they lead 20-3, but the momentum seems to be on Baylor's side right now. But they have to do something offensively. Salubi in motion. Lawrence looks right. Scrambling. Has got some running room. Got the 1st down. Close to the 50-yard line. Barry Turner on the stop. You know, when they were talking to us about Nick Florence last week, they said that, yes, he is a dual threat. They liked his running ability.
Well, with the motion, look how it leaves the middle open. The linebacker Dillard is clear down at the bottom right there. Leaves green grass up the middle. Carl Pliny was a little concerned about that. In their matchup zone style of coverage, sometimes there's a lot of space in the middle, and Nick Lawrence got to it on that play.
That is a 1st down after a pickup of 12. He pumps right, looking, scrambling again. Runs away from Sean Fisher. DB's coming up strong to make the stop. Amuka Mara.
Ron, Art Briles went back to it again. He's seeing something he likes. He's going empty, whether it be in motion or 5 wide receivers. And Nick Lawrence is finding some running room because of Nebraska's matchup zone on the back end.
But Baylor is running the football now. I mean, they are starting to move it with 6:10 to play in the 3rd.
And trust me, they don't care how they run it. They just have to have some presence in their running game against this Nebraska defense.
This is their Achilles, though. Has been on 2nd down, and Finley is stacked up. The pile pushes forward, and where the official will mark it should be a 1st down.
I think you're right. I think the second effort that Finley gave on that play is going to convert this, but I think out of about 13 plays on 2nd down, they really haven't gotten anything done. They were -1 yard, 2 sacks, 5 negative plays. That was the 14th play right there, and probably their most positive play. They got 2 yards and a first down.
Ball is now on the 40. They are in Nebraska territory. Looking, here comes the pressure. He just has to throw it into the ground. What pressure put on by Ndamukong Suh, and he leveled Florence. Throw Barry Turner a little kudo in that also.
The Suh and Turner getting pressure, and they were, in the end, he was trying to throw this ball to Finley. That's why it wasn't called grounding. Suh doing a nice job of, once again, getting off that double team, working over the top and getting to the quarterback. Carl Plenty's on the sideline throwing a fit because he thought it was intentional grounding. Finley actually looked like he was a blocker on that play, not a receiver, but the ball was in the vicinity, so the officials didn't call it.
Well, sets up a 2nd and 10 inside of 5.5. The officials now blowing a whistle.
And Ron,
remember, a penalty flag back at the 20-yard line.
I think they didn't reset the play clock.
Play clock to be reset, 25 seconds.
Okay. He's picking up the flag.
Remember, Ron, we're 2nd and 10 again. This is the down and distance that they haven't been effective. 2nd down hasn't been kind to Baylor. If they can become more efficient here, they've been decent on 3rd down, but 2nd down they self-destructed.
They are going sideline to sideline with their wide receivers.
Look how wide the split is out here.
3 to the right, 1 to the left. Florence looking right. Now looking anywhere. Throws, passes incomplete, intended for Kendall Wright.
McNamara doing a nice job on the coverage, but Nebraska's secondary has actually covered very well today, especially on the deep throws down the field. We've seen time and again when Baylor's tried to take their shots, Nebraska's defense down the field has been very strong.
Now Sampson goes wide to the left. Ernest Smith goes in the slot on the left side. 3rd down and 10.
Nebraska going to 3 down linemen right here and getting more into coverage.
And they bring 4. Drop 7. Florence looks, throws the deep out. That's going to be incomplete. Intended for Wright. So a very promising drive comes up short. And it looks like Barry Turner is down at the 45-yard line for Nebraska. Slow to get up. His teammates help him up.
I think he's just out of gas.
I think the tank may be empty there.
Yeah, I think they were getting after Florence on that entire series of plays, and I think he's just a little bit spent.
You know, it's good to see him back. Big number 99. It looks like the old Barry Turner. Broke his leg in game 2 last year. And Bo Pelini says he has been disruptive this season.
He has gotten back to his trademark, is really the burst off the field. You can see right here, I think Art Browse has said, we're going to go for it. Why not?
Well, 4th down. They're 3 of 9 this year. They need 10. From a deep shotgun, they're going to pooch kick it. Nice spiraling kick. Actually, a nice job done by Nick Florence. The kick covered 22-yard line, but they got the job done. Nebraska takes over 1st and 10. Ball's on their own 18-yard line. Here is the freshman Cody Green. Has some time. He is dangerous when he runs. The wobbly pass is short. If there is one thing I think we've seen today, sometimes on the run, Kelly, he has short hopped a couple of balls.
Yeah, and I think that's the young quarterback really not getting his shoulders turned toward the line of scrimmage. When your feet are moving, there's a different throwing motion that's necessary, and it's about technique, and he will get that. But there's going to be a lot of times with his mobility that he's going to be throwing on the run, trying to make a big play out of a negative play, and there's a pretty good example of it on that one.
Now Baylor 7-0 when allowing opponents only 21 points or less under Art Briles. Nebraska only with 20, but Baylor's offense has got to do something. Green has some time, swings it out to Robinson. A little shake and bake, puts the head down and picks up extra yards. Nice job by the true freshman. The PBR World Finals continue on Versus. Can leader Cody Lostro hang on and claim his #1 golden buckle? Or will J.V. Mooney and the world's toughest Cowboys knock him off? The PBR World Finals continue tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Time.
That first down right there, Ron, I think was important for Cody Green in this Nebraska offense. They're becoming a little stagnant, and now they're moving the ball once again on that nice completion by Cody Green.
19 yards for Robinson. Green looking, going down the far sideline. He was able to connect earlier in the day to Niles Paul on that play. This time to Brandon Kinney. He overthrows him.
Brandon Kinney matched up on number 8, Tim Hutchinson, and actually it was kind of a double move. Cody Green got a little impatient on that play. There was more time there. Let it develop. You have a big arm, you can throw it down the field. He let it go a little bit too soon before he really knew the angle of his receiver.
Talking to Ron Brown, the tight ends coach, longtime Nebraska assistant. And that brings up a 2nd down and 10 from the 37. Baylor with 8 in the box. They are jamming the line of scrimmage, and we've got a timeout by the Huskers. That'll be their first timeout of the second half. Let's check in on the sidelines with Lewis.
Hey guys, we were talking about Halloween costumes early, showed all the families. Did you guys by chance share the photo of you before the game? You were trying your costumes out, right? Did you you didn't show everybody that?
Oh my.
I don't understand why you didn't share that photo with America.
Yeah, great.
That is wrong.
That's my Sunday church outfit, man.
That is so boy.
Oh, brother. Okay, Kelly.
Yeah.
Crew 1, us nothing. I think we've got. We don't get mad guys. We get even. Okay, just for the record there.
They have the last.
They always
do.
They
have their finger on the button. No, I don't know what we can really do about that. That is wrong.
2nd down and 10 now for the Huskers from the 37-yard line after the timeout. Here comes some pressure. They throw the screen to Marcus Mendoza. They like this young man's speed as he gets over the 40 up to about the 43-yard line. The sophomore out of Springwoods High School in Houston, Texas. Last year he was a running back. They moved him to wide receiver. And then the problems with running back this year with Quentin Castile leaving the team, they moved him back to running back.
Once again, Baylor's defense is back in that 3rd and 5 situation where they have to come up with a play to get off the field. Conversely, Cody Green in this Nebraska offense has to find a way to extend the drive. They haven't been very efficient here in the second half.
To snap it for Green. Looking. Oh, picked off. This could be 6. Clifton Odom, 10-5, touchdown Baylor. First turnover of the ball game for Nebraska. And Clifton Odom with the interception, his first of the year, takes it back 45 yards. And all of a sudden, we got ourselves a ball game. And the extra point is good by Ben Parks. Kelly, tell me what happened with Cody Green on this. Did he not have enough mustard on it?
Cody Green, you can see him looking to the right initially. He throws somewhat blind and late to the flat to Kyrie Cooper. And Clifton Odom, number 20 right there, is just setting in a zone out in the flat, reading the quarterback. He doesn't have to do anything else. Right there, he can see Kyrie Cooper, number 6, coming to him. But he has a good shot of looking inside to the quarterback and just breaks on the football. And you can see the sideline is very excited about that. Gets him right back in this football game.
Now the Baylor defense led by Brian Norwood, the defensive coordinator. He stressed us yesterday at many times that this defense was not going to give up. He believed in his players. He said, we've had chances. We just have to have somebody step up and make a play.
Well, there's Clifton Odom right there that stepped up. And the first overt mistake by Cody Green, throwing late to the sideline, is never a good idea. And he threw somewhat blindly into a zone, and that isn't a good idea either.
Now the Baylor fans have something to cheer about, but you look at Nebraska, Kelly, they forced 2 turnovers, but they've only gotten 3 points off those turnovers. This is going to be a short kick. At about the 13-yard line, Niles Paul. Oh my, does he take a hit at the 27-yard line? Now, last week, Nebraska fans, turn away from your television. We're giving you a warning because these are the 8 turnovers last week. Broke Nebraska's record for the lowest turnover margin. 8 turnovers, tied a school record. 4 of the 8 turnovers inside Iowa State's 5-yard line. 7 fumbles, they lost 5. Most since 2001 versus Baylor. God, I tell you, in all my years, that was the flukiest thing I've ever seen.
Never seen anything like it. Remember, they end up getting beat 9-7. If just on one of those possessions in the red zone you kick a field goal, you win the game.
Yeah. Green this time just tucks it, just moves right ahead up over the 35-yard line to the 36. Pickup of 9 on the play. And you can see what they did the first 6 games with 7 turnovers, and last week 8 turnovers.
Yeah, they've done a very nice job up until last week, and that's what Sean Watson said. You know, Lewis Johnson asking me, what are you doing now in terms of taking care of the ball security? But he's like, you know, the bottom line is, until that showed up and last week, we were doing a great job.
Absolutely. Now let's see how Nebraska now responds. They go with 2 tight ends on 2nd and 1. Robinson gets the first down. Let's check in with Lewis.
In our conference call this past week with Pelini, he said really the team needs some leadership after that game last week, but he said he feels responsible for what happens, but he chooses to never point the finger. He says point the thumb at himself, and he challenged the players to do the same. He wanted everybody to make that self-evaluation, which is sometimes tough, but look at yourself first before you point the finger at somebody else to get this thing fixed. It looks like they've done that.
Absolutely. Brandon Kinney now goes wide to the right. This team does have a lot of character, and a lot of people are trying to make out a sense of division between the offense and the defense, but it's not there. Here's Robinson. Right side, and he'll be close to the first down, about a half a yard short as we close in on 2 minutes left in quarter number 3, and the freshman is slow to get up.
Well, Ron, you ask what Nebraska's going to do, how they're going to respond in this drive. Well, what they've done is they've gotten physical on the line of scrimmage in 3 very hard physical run plays, a couple to the running back and 1 to Cody Green on the quarterback draw. That's what I think Sean Watson wants to do right now, reestablish the run game on the line of scrimmage.
On 2nd down and short, that is absolutely nothing doing. Austin Jones getting his first carry of the afternoon. He is stoned.
Now this is not exactly reestablishing the line of scrimmage. Up to that play on this drive, they've been doing a very good job on the line of scrimmage. That time Baylor just flat out won that matchup.
3rd down. They lose about a half a yard on the play, but it's still 1 for a first down. 2 tight ends. Drew Young in motion. Look like movement right side of Nebraska. They'll back him up.
I think it might have been right guard.
Snap. False start. Number 74 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
That right guard, Ricky Henry, jumped a little bit early that time, but 3rd and very short, goes back to 3rd and 6, which is that kind of in-between area where I think the defense now regains the advantage.
Does this go back to what Bo told us on Wednesday, that the team hasn't been consistently mentally tough this year?
I think that's exactly it, Ron. I was thinking the same thing. I think you have to overcome situations like this, but you have to be mentally tough and do the mental things right in tough situations like this as well.
Lester Ward now in the backfield. Green, he's got the first down to the 45-yard line. Complete to Niles Paul, the junior out of Omaha.
Niles Paul is that veteran receiver that comes in on the slant. A little shaken up on that play, but a very authoritative decision and throw by Cody Green on that play. And that, Ron, that's what you're seeing out of Cody Green in the important times in this game. He stepped up with confidence and been decisive, and he delivered the ball that way on that play to Niles Paul.
Second reception for Niles Paul today. The first one was 45-yarder. Green looks to run the option, turns the corner, tripped up as a penalty flag comes flying in, and I think he tripped over Kyrie Cooper's leg. But there's a flag at the 45-yard line.
Holding number 67 of the offense. Penalty will be 10 yards. Remains first down.
Center Jacob Hickman, Ron, getting called for that hold, and this is the type of situation that Bo Pelini was talking about. To be mentally tough means in this type of situation where you have a setback, you have to overcome that by doing the little things right and now getting that yardage back.
That may be the final play of the third quarter. I think Nebraska is just going to sit on it, but it was a good quarter for Baylor. They hold Nebraska scoreless. They put up 10. The big blow, though, coming from Clifton Odom, the junior out of Arlington, Texas, his first interception of the year. He takes it to the house as we head to the final 15 minutes in Waco, Texas. Nebraska leading Baylor 20-10. Texas, along with Lewis Johnson, Kelly Stoffer, I'm Ron Thulin, where Nebraska's lead has been cut in half, 20-10, as we head to the fourth and final quarter. And Nebraska first and 20. Green keeps it up over the 50 into Baylor territory, down to about the 48-yard line. Pick up about 8 on the play. Joe Pavelic, Phil Taylor coming up to make the stop. Pavelic, 8 tackles in the ball game already.
And the true lead draw by Nebraska that time, Trey Robinson, number 27, the running back for Nebraska, leading Cody Green up in the hole, and you can expect to see more of that from Nebraska with Cody Green in there. I think Zach Lee had that ability, but certainly not to the extent that you see out of Cody Green.
Last 5 drives for Nebraska, punts and an interception. Down to the 45-yard line. Big hit, Jordan Lake. He's got 5 tackles this afternoon.
Nebraska once again, Ron, going up to get tight ends off to the right. 3 of them, they pull offensive linemen, really move that offensive line to the right, and then it's just sorting out the defense as you get to the edge. And Jordan Lake, the human missile, fills that alley very well.
Jordan Lake saying, I've got to wear that little neck roll because of stingers last week. He says I look like a high school fullback. He hits like a Mack truck.
Yeah, no question.
Now Cooper goes in the slot left side, facing 3rd down and 9 for the Huskers. Baylor shows blitz. Here they come. The pump fake by Green. Fires over the middle. Has a man incomplete. Should have been caught by Kyrie Cooper. But the hit coming up by Byron Landor.
Cody Green starts on the pump fake, the double move to Niles Paul, and then comes back over the middle. I think he actually had Niles Paul right there. I don't think he had to come back over the middle. You're right, Ron. It should have been a catch. It would have been a difficult one, but one that Kyrie Cooper will learn to make down the road.
Let's see how these young players from Nebraska respond to this. Chris Burke now standing inside the 10-yard line for Baylor. Henry's kick, he angles it towards the near sideline. And it'll go into the stands. So we've got a timeout with 13:37 to play in the ball game. Baylor down by 10 and with the football, but we have a penalty flag. No, the official's now going to wave it off, I think. No flag, so we'll take a break. We're in the 4th in Waco. All right. We talked about smoke and mirrors. You know, Art Briles telling us Thursday, he says nobody is panicking. Yes, it's frustrating. The team isn't panicking. But you look at 153 yards offense for his offense today, and we bring up the point we started the telecast with. How is the offense going to get points now to make this even a better football game?
Well, they certainly haven't had the answer to that question yet. They've been outscored by their defense 7-3. But I think they have to continue to get something out of the run game, get it to their playmakers in any form possible, the screen game, and also Nick Lawrence running the football.
Well, they'll empty the backfield again. Lawrence hands it off. And go right. Too many white jerseys, not enough green ones. Here, Allen came up with the first hit for Nebraska. That is his second tackle of the afternoon.
Ron, that's exactly what we were just talking about. Kendall Wright comes in motion, becomes the running back. They get their playmaker, one of them, the football, but the result wasn't very good. You still have to win on the line of scrimmage, and as we've seen, that's very difficult to do against this Nebraska front four.
Dangerous field position, too, for Baylor. Chris Burke and Wright wide to the right.
This is the area that Nick Lawrence has been able to exploit. When Nebraska runs out of there on coverage, watch for him to run the football.
Just gets off the snap. Over the middle, complete, up to the 23-yard line to David Geddes, the senior out of Los Angeles, California.
Art Briles going to an empty backfield, 5 quick receivers. Now he's coming back in with the tight end and Brad Taylor and putting Finley, the running back, in the game, just mixing it up, trying to find some way to get a play downfield against Nebraska.
Lawrence rolling, buying some time, looking. Here comes the heat, and he is going to be dropped by Sean Fisher. 5th sack of the ball game against this Baylor offense. Coming into the game, they had only given up 11.
That's where the inexperience at that position shows up. Lawrence is immediately outside of that tackle box. You have to throw this ball away past the line of scrimmage, which you can do. You don't go down with a sack right there. Try to make a play, and at least don't lose field position.
Fisher with 3 tackles and a sack today, coming off a 9-tackle performance against Iowa State last week. His career best. Now standing at his 35-yard line. Now we have a penalty flag. And I think they ran out of time. Boy, that just is
delay a game, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
Now, Kelly, I mean, let's think about it. They go back 5 yards on this play. That puts it down about, what about the 15-yard line? They've already had 1 punt blocked, and a couple more have been very close.
You know, and throw in Nick Lawrence not throwing the ball out of bounds, and all of a sudden you have your punter standing almost on the end zone line, and Nebraska should, without a catastrophe, inherit this ball in plus territory.
This time Nebraska doesn't put on the big rush, and this is an outstanding kick by Derek Epperson. Niles Paul forced to make the fair catch after the 44-yard kick. 11:39 left to play in Waco, Texas. Lewis Johnson, Kelly Stauffer, welcome back to Waco, Texas. Nebraska leading Baylor 20-10. Baylor has scored the last 10 points. Talk about balanced offense, including today. Nebraska now with 249 rushing plays, 249 passing plays for the season. Roy Hella was checked back into the lineup for the Huskers, his first appearance in the second half. Gets back to the line of scrimmage. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Ron, I'm up here with the Nebraska fans, and quarterback Cody Green has about 200 fans here from Dayton, Texas, which is southeast Texas. And here's his mom, Chandra, and his sister, Ashley. And, Mom, for you, I'm just watching you watch him. What's it like to watch your baby, your son, out there quarterbacking the Cornhuskers?
Oh, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
What did you see in him early on? You said at 5 he was already playing up. What did you see then as a young boy?
Cody has always been an athlete, and he's always been a fierce competitor. We saw it a long time ago.
And an incomplete pass there, so I guess we'll continue. And what's it like to sit in the stands and watch him? I know that he's played in 4 games this season, but to see him get his first start.
It's amazing. It's something that he's looked forward to, and it's something that we've looked forward to. So, you know, the Husker fans fans, you know, they've always supported him, and we're just happy that they've been supporting him.
And Ashley here, I don't get this one. Now, you graduated in May with a degree in marketing from Baylor. I mean, any problem with the allegiance here?
Yes, a little bit.
But you've got the jersey on, so
I got the jersey. I'm good. I'm good. I went over and saw everybody and said hi, but, you know, they're a little torn, but I'm doing good.
All right, there is a complete pass, Ron, for him. By the way, this is not jobs.com, but Ashley just graduated with a degree in marketing, and she's looking for a job.
Well, she worked in the Baylor football offices, actually.
Exactly.
Now, Cody Green comes up with nothing on that. They'll face 4th down and about 7. After the little slip screen, didn't do anything. And again, Nebraska is going to be forced to kick it away. This is quite a learning experience for young Cody Green and all the redshirt freshmen.
Yeah, the last 7 drives now, an interception, one ended by the half, and the rest have been punts. And so obviously there are some growing pains to go through. Nebraska hasn't been doing much offensively.
Their catch is being called for at the 21-yard line, a punt of 35 yards. And Baylor will have the football. They are only down by 10. Plenty of time left. You can see that Nebraska had a 20-0 lead at halftime for the 2nd week in a row. Baylor shut out, but the Baylor defense comes up with 7 points in the 3rd. They kick the field goal, and that's where we are right now, 20-10 with 10-11 to play in the football game. Kind of similar situation for Nebraska as it was last year. If you remember, they lost 3 straight last season. Then they won 6 of their last 7, including the bowl game. Bo said that there was no panic by the team then. There's no panic by the team now.
Yeah, and I think the difference between last year and this year is you have a defense this year that's only given up, coming into this game, 11 points a game. I mean, you should have a chance to win every game, if not win every game, when your defense is playing at that level.
And that ball is on the ground. The exchange with Finley did not go well. Nebraska has the football. Boy, oh boy. And it looks like, just take a guess who was involved in that play, Kelly.
I'm assuming it's going to be Jared Crick.
You're right.
Be right. And it's just the read zone right there, or the zone read, and Florence didn't intend to give that ball. Finley was a little bit, I think, hesitant whether he was getting the ball or not, and the miscalculation, the mismesh, Jared Crick takes advantage of it, and that's what Nebraska's defense really hasn't been getting. We've talked about it. They're a high-pressure group, but they haven't been getting many takeaways. They're getting takeaways today.
Jared Crick, 7 tackles, a pass broken up, 4 sacks, and now a fumble recovery. I will nominate him for the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. And they're going to give it back. Baylor's got the football. Antonio Johnson forced it. Earl Patan coming up with it.
Well, the quarterback lead draw, there's nothing wrong with the handoff here, obviously, because it's a direct snap, but Cody Green just doesn't take care of the football. And Ron, what we've seen is 2 young quarterbacks, Nick Florence for Baylor and Cody Green, being involved in the ball handling or ball security, and neither one of them doing a very good job on that couple of plays. There we see the turnovers. Nebraska now 10 in the last 2 games, of course 8 last week. Now, can Baylor do anything with it? It's like basketball. You can force a turnover, but can you capitalize on it? Here's Florence looking. He's going deep for Geddes. Outruns his defender and makes the catch. On the connection, the biggest offensive gain today for Baylor. Well, Baylor's been trying to take advantage of the one-on-one situation. Nick Florence moves a little bit to his right. The double move down below to David Geddes to the left, matched up on Amukamara. Nice throw, nice catch. And this time the defense stonewalling after the quick play. They couldn't even set the chains, and Baylor ran the play.
That is exactly what Carl Pelini told us on Wednesday, Kelly. He said, these guys are going to throw the ball up to these speedsters, and it scares me because their defense, they're worried about their quarterbacks.
Well, what happened on that play, when the quarterback, Nick Florence, moves a little bit to the right, the safety help over the top had to respect the quarterback movement. It left one-on-one down below with Geddes and Amokamura, and they took advantage of it.
Quarterbacks on an island. That's been the Achilles heel for this Nebraska defense. 3 to snap it. Finley, nothing doing. Again, it is Jared Crick just blowing through his block. He has been unstoppable. Second down, or third down, I should say, and about 7. Now Kendall Wright goes in the slot, top of your screen. Lawrence looks over to the sideline with 10 to snap. Now Finley moves just offset right. 2 to snap it. Lawrence looks for Finley, swings it out, breaks a tackle, leans forward to the 25, ball's on the ground, but they're saying he was down. Mark it down at the 26-yard line, maybe the 25. And it'll bring up a 4th down. Jared Salubi checks into the lineup, and they'll go for it again. Last time they pooch kick it, no chance this time on 4th down. Trying to draw Nebraska offsides, and we're going to have a timeout. There was 3 to snap it, and Florence decided to take time to talk to Coach Art Browse. We'll be back. All right, thank you, Bill. Nebraska trying to keep pace with Kansas State. Kelly, would you kick the field goal in this situation?
I think I'd kick the field goal here. I think against Nebraska's defense, 3 yards on 4th down. Why make this play the game? You're going to have another possession anyway. I think you go ahead and kick it here. Your defense has stopped Nebraska the last 7 possessions. I think you're going to get the football back. Don't make this the play of the game.
Well, it would match Ben Parks' career-high field goal, 42 yards, if they did kick it, and he would be kicking into a stiff breeze. So it's 4th down and 3. They've got 7 to snap it. Lawrence looks, throws, pass, caught. David Geddes inside the 20, inside the 15, down to the 12-yard line. His 100th career catch for Baylor, and it was a big one.
Art Browse just concluding that this is his best scoring opportunity. Gomes is right there, but Geddes runs a nice route, and Nick Florence makes a great throw, very accurate on that play.
And here comes Florence, has some pressure, throwing this up for grabs, tipped, incomplete, should have been picked off. Anthony West had it in his hands. Oh my.
Gomes was there as well. Anthony West over the top and Gomes underneath. Double covered Geddes on that play, but a quarterback throwing it up, just hoping your receiver can make a play. Multiple opportunities on that, and in the end, West had a great chance to pick that one off.
2nd down and 10. Ball's on the 12-yard line. They can get a 1st down. Salubi joins Florence in the backfield. 2 to snap. A little hesitation on the exchange, and they may lose a half a yard. The first hit, and Ndamukong Suh.
And Nick Florence on the zone read, what he wants to do is pull it right here. You keep it in until you can affect that contain. And Nick Florence liked his matchup at the end. If he could have pulled it late, he thought he could get outside of that contain, and it looked like he probably could.
Finley checks back into the backfield on 3rd down and 11. Kendall Wright looking to throw it. He's a former high school quarterback. Now he scrambles, gets a block, takes it down the sideline, and he skips out at about the 8-yard line. Jay Finley lowered the boom on Jared Crick, who's still down.
This is the first true gadget play we've seen all afternoon, and Wright intends to throw a throwback to the quarterback, but that hit right there. Finley on Crick. Crick has been giving him fits all day long, and that's the most violent part of this game. Happens in plays like that when there's a reverse of field, and then you have guys waiting to try to decapitate defensive players. Right there. It's amazing that Crick is getting off the field right now with that blow by Finley.
Well, Finley gives up 80 pounds to Crick, but more importantly, Baylor did not get close to the first down. It's 4th down and 5 as Jared's going to be let off the field. A heck of an afternoon. 8 tackles, a pass broken up, 4 sacks, fumble recovery. And a bunch of tackles for a loss, too. We'll throw those in for good measure.
Yeah, he's been incredible. Very disruptive all day long, and that was absolutely a brutal play, but it's good to see. He looks like he's got his bell rung, but got off the field by himself. That's a great sign.
And now they've decided to kick it, and Ben Parks is late getting on the field, but they have plenty of time to snap it. This will be a 24-yarder from the left hash into a breeze. High snap, they bring it down, and it hits the upright.
Wow.
It seemed like it would have been a chip shot, but Ben Parks cannot get it down.
This starts left and remains left and goes off that upright right there and bounces outside. But what was strange about that is Parks was the last one, Ron, on the field. He didn't act like he knew he was out going to be asked to kick the football.
He was running out, and I'm going, well, you know, you do kick field goals here in this game.
The entire field goal team was out there except your kicker. He comes on late after the holder had waved him onto the field. That was extremely odd.
I think Art Briles was talking to the officials about how the defense was climbing on each other to try to block that. Didn't stop his guy from shanking it off the goalpost, though. When Nebraska takes over with 6:24 to play in the ball game, and now they can just stick to the run game. Now let's take a look at our Buffalo Wild Wings game reset for today. And 20-10 with 6:10 left to be played in the ball game. Cody Green, I think pretty good afternoon for him.
I would say average, not a bad start. He certainly cooled off in the second half, and we've seen Crick's name time and time again, and then Baylor, the big play by Odom, but other than that, they've gotten very little going.
Lester Ward on the carry, getting some playing time. They said they were going to rotate backs today. They've done a little bit of it. Roy Hello looked like he may have got a little ding on the shoulder again. Trey Robinson getting some carries. Marcus Mendoza getting some carries. Lester Ward. Now it's 3rd down and a yard for Nebraska. And again, Baylor having to bring in one more player. They were one short. And Nebraska is going to be stalled right at the line of scrimmage, maybe losing a yard. Well, you'll find out what it takes to tackle the world's toughest sports jobs. Join NFL All-Pro linebacker Junior Seau as he does the jobs that make sports really work. Sports Jobs with Junior Seau. Seniors kicks off Wednesday, December 2nd, 10 o'clock Eastern, with 2 all-new episodes only on Versus. How does he fit this show in with his play?
I'm not sure how that.
I'm pretty impressed. And Nebraska is going to be forced to kick it away, kicking with the wind. 4:35 to play in the ball game. Alex Henry standing on his 13-yard line. And a driving spiraling kick. Chris Burke backing up to the 16. The spin move. Here come the white jerseys. 55 yards on the kick, 4 yards on the return. Well, just a little over halfway through the regular season. Let's take a look at who Kelly might think could win the Heisman.
I think McCoy and Tebow still have the inside track. The context of really a good team the second half of the year, they'll have some big games. I think C.J. Spiller at Clemson is the best all-around player in the country. And then Ingram at Alabama, that wildcat formation allowing him to get a lot of touches, he kind of has that context as well, Ron. It's not just the individual play, it's where the individual play takes place. That context is needed. All of these guys have that.
And, of course, Colt McCoy, Zach Robinson playing tonight in Stillwater. Now, look at the 4 wide receivers to the left. 4 linemen to the left, I should say. And that may be a play that will be taken out of the playbook tonight as a penalty flag is going to be thrown. And Dominican Sue, Pierre Allen on the stop. And they threw Florence to the ground, who's kind of trying to walk it off right now. What kind of form? It was 3 linemen to the left.
It was almost like a swinging gate, I think they call it. I mean, there were a couple of receivers, a couple of linemen. Florence fakes it down there and wanted to get it downfield somewhere else, but I think Dominican Sue had a problem with that.
Personal foul, slamming the quarterback to the ground. Defense number 95. Penalties 15 yards, first down.
This is tackle football, isn't it? I'm just curious.
I believe the last time I checked it was. Pierre Allen gets called for a little bit too much, a little bit too late. Dominican Sue gets chopped early, gets a hold of Florence, and right now whistles are blowing, but it was in Dominican Sue that threw him down. Pierre Allen had little to nothing to do with that kind of play.
6 sacks, though, for Nebraska, but they do have the penalty. And again, Baylor confused on offense, getting players in at the last second. 4 minutes to play in the ball game. Florence looks right, the slant in, caught. Still on his feet is Ernest Smith. Up to the 45-yard line, pickup of 12 on the play. That is his 2nd reception of the afternoon, and he has been such a go-to guy this year, and him have only 2 receptions is kind of a surprise.
And that's what Baylor needs right now, is kind of a catch and carry type of situation. Catch it short and then do something with it after you get it.
On 1st and 10, Florence, look out. We've got a penalty flag thrown, and he is going to be dropped back at the 30-yard line. Another sack by Jared Crick. That's 5 on the afternoon if the play stands.
It's good to just see Jared Crick back on that field after that crackback by Finley.
I think he's looking for Finley. That's why he came back on the field.
He just happened to run into the quarterback before he found number 32.
Now the officials are talking it over. Here we go.
Holding number 59 of the offense. Penalty will be declined. 2nd down.
Watch Jared Crick, the effort by the sophomore.
And that's what Crick brings to the table. He has a high motor and continues to work hard inside. He gets cut to the ground, gets up, pursues the quarterback, and then finishes the play. And Pierre Allen meets him at the quarterback as well. But Jared Crick is a player. He's benefiting from Sue inside, but Sue won't be there next year. Right. Jared Crick will be the star of that front 4.
Well, he idolized Adam Carricker. Lawrence throwing up, has the receiver wide open, and that's going to be a penalty flag, but it doesn't matter because it's caught by David Geddes. Almost like a Hail Mary, and Geddes comes down with it. It covers 41 yards.
And that's been the Achilles heel of this defense, is playing the long pass. They have Geddes essentially double cover. They have West down there, and Asante's coming off the hash, but you can see how poorly they played that football in the air. That's what defensive backs have to do. Just like a receiver, you have to locate it and you have to go make a play on it. And West and Asante, neither one of them did a very good job on that play.
Well, West lost his starting job to Denner. Been fighting hard to get it back. That won't help that matter any. To play in the ball game. Baylor trying to overcome a 10-point deficit. Lawrence has some time, puts it underneath. Pass is incomplete.
what Nebraska's doing against the 2 wide receivers to either side is kind of a twin set. They're taking 6 defensive backs and playing 3-on-2, and it leaves 1-on-1 in the middle. With the linebacker right here on Finley, it's Dillard on Finley, and that's what Art Briles is trying to get Nick Florence to exploit. It wasn't a very good throw or catch, but that's exactly where they want to attack. That one linebacker in the game is Dillard. They want to isolate him.
264 yards for Baylor. They have more yards than Nebraska does on offense. Florence going up, has a man, Salubi wide open, and he doesn't come up with it. Well, the redshirt freshman from right here in Waco will dream about that tonight.
A great job of play design on this right here. The tight end setting inside, and the Salubi runs the wheel route outside. Florence makes a great throw and just absolutely dropped the football.
A couple of times today he's putting the ball where it's supposed to be. Kendall Wright had one go through his hands in the end zone earlier.
Well, Ron, we talked about the talent being better on this Baylor team. That talent isn't making very big plays right now.
And we've got a whistle and a timeout. Nebraska, they'll burn their second timeout of the second half. We know college football and we know the BCS, but how long will the Horned Frogs remain in the BCS picture? Well, you'll get to see them coming up next against UNLV, and again next week versus San Diego State at 4 o'clock Eastern. College football is on Versus, and just a reminder, we'll have more Big 12 action coming your way next week at noon Eastern time. The matchups are to be determined, and we'll find out hopefully tomorrow.
Wow.
And now Bo Pelini talking to the referee about something. But if you're a young quarterback like Nick Florence, a true freshman, you have put the ball on the money a couple of times. How does that help or hurt his psyche?
I think it hurts it if you let it, and I think that's the challenge for a young quarterback. As a veteran quarterback, you learn that plays kind of come and go, and you just let it go off your back. If you get down, Ron, the thing that happens is you're not really ready to make the next play that's available. So you have to let it go, tell everyone around you we're moving on to this play. We'll see if Nick Florence is successful at it right here.
Now the Nebraska defense has done a nice job forcing turnovers. In their 4 wins, they were +7 in turnovers, losses -12. They should be on the plus side today, but now Baylor knocking on the door again. 3rd down and 10 from the 20. Florence going for Geddes again. This pass is going to be incomplete. Hit the ground. Double coverage by Nebraska. Lance Thorell. And also Prince Amukamara.
And we can see the strategy once again. Baylor literally, Ron, and you pointed it out earlier, they get his speed guy going down the field, and they literally throw a jump ball. Nebraska has misplayed that a couple of times, and it's been Nebraska's nemesis all year long in that secondary. Lance Thorell did a nice job of attacking that football in the air. That's what you have to do as a safety.
Well, 4th down, and they've got 5 to snap it, and 10. 2 to snap it, 1 to snap it. They get it off. Florence across the middle, and it's going to be incomplete. Intended for Kendall Wright. Could have been picked off. Thorell again is the one who juggled it, and Nebraska will take over with 2:33 left. Baylor with just 2 timeouts left in the ball game.
Nick Florence is very accurate, but you can see that ball comes off a little high. I think it's actually contact at the right time by Asante, that safety patrolling that middle. You light up receivers when they go up for the football, but I think that one got away from Nick Florence just a little bit.
Well, Nebraska will take over on the 20-yard line. Still have 2:33 left, and we don't want to say this is over by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Not what we've seen this year. But Nebraska does have the football. They just need to hold on to it. Here comes Cody Green. Even though there's time left, let's first talk about Baylor. Obviously a big underdog in this football game. You have to give Art Briles and all the seniors on this team that really have fought through this an A for effort. Brian Norwood and company, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think the design has been pretty good. I think Brian Norwood made some good adjustments at halftime. Nebraska's offense hasn't gotten anything going in the second half. And I think Art Briles has set his team up to make some plays. They just haven't made enough offensively.
That'll be close to the first down. It should be enough for a first down at the 30-yard line.
You know, Ron, think back to a couple of plays that come to mind. Kendall Wright dropped the touchdown pass down here in the end zone, and then that one to Salubi that we just saw on that wheel route by the running back. I mean, those are plays that come from the design of the play. You execute it up to the point of catch perfectly, but your playmakers don't finish the ball, finish the play. You can't do anything about that.
Final 2 minutes, 1st and 10 for the Huskers. Lester Ward on the carry. Okay, and they've called the timeout. Baylor has. Now let's take a look at our Miller High Life Common Sense play of the game, and it happened on Baylor's first possession, and it was a pretty good one as Eric Martin got in on the block on this. Bingo hung up in the air, and Justin Blatchford takes it, and he takes it to the house. First score of the ball game, and Nebraska has never trailed, and that is our play of the game. Well, let's talk about Sean Watson's offense and Nebraska. A lot of struggles. People up in Nebraska, you live there, Kelly, we're basically saying that the coach has turned stupid overnight, which I've never understood that.
Yeah.
You're great. It hasn't been great. Let's be very honest. Hasn't been great, but hasn't been better.
No, it hasn't been great, but I think it's better certainly than what they did last week when they put the ball on the ground 8 times. You can't win doing that, even when your defense only gives up 9 points. So I think it's been better than that, and there you can see the growing pains. Cody Green's career basically has started here today. I don't see any reason not to continue that. Sean Watson is still searching for answers, kind of probing to see what works, and I think they took a step forward today compared to certainly last week.
Last 7 drives, they have not scored, Nebraska. Baylor will call the timeout. That will be their last timeout of the ball game. Let's take a look at Nebraska's upcoming schedule, because obviously Kansas State with a big game tonight. They've got to play at Oklahoma. And then next week, of course, the Oklahoma Sooners in one of the classic rivalries. I wish it was every year. They go to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. Then they have to go to Lawrence, Kansas. Mark Mangini's squad, Todd Reesing and company. Mangino, and then Kansas State. And in Colorado.
And I think in the north, the important thing is Nebraska still has Kansas and Kansas State. I think Iowa State is getting a lot of nice things done this year. Paul Rose doing a nice job, but I don't see them really staying where they are currently. And Kansas State is up at the top, and Nebraska still has them in front of them.
What a job Bill Snyder has done this year at K-State. And Nebraska very content. 3rd down and 9. Baylor will get the ball back probably one more time. Lester Ward on the carry again.
We're talking about Sean Watson and this Nebraska offense. There's been a lot said about the quarterback position, but I put my finger on when Roy Helu Jr. got hurt and really got hurt in the Missouri game. And that running game that Nebraska was counting on really hasn't been the same, and they've suffered because of it, because they really don't have the playmakers defined outside yet. I think with a quarterback, it's hard to make plays when your skill people around you are still learning how to play the game themselves.
And I think you've got to put Rex Burkhead getting hurt, because they wanted the plan at the beginning of the year was to let Roy Helu run the football, get him in rhythm. Then when he got tired, put in Rex Burkhead. That was kind of the plan, and then Roy get hurt. Of course, Rex Burkhead is hurt. You know, they're hoping he comes back. So Bo Pelini has had to kind of fill in the gaps on offense. And then you've got to throw in Meneley Colton, Karinsky, Gilliland. I mean, they were on the scout team this week. How disappointing is that? 2 guys you expected to play. It's like falling off the face of the earth.
They just didn't step up, and that's the bottom line. You tried to bring those guys along up to this point in time in the season, and before long, you just had to go to the youngsters, and here's one of them right here. Cody Green doing a nice job most of the day, being pretty decisive. This is what he brings to Nebraska's offense now, his ability to make plays out of nothing. He throws the ball well. This 50 yards flat-footed down the field and on target. And his leadership ability for a young guy. We heard that from Sean Watson in the beginning of the year. This guy is confident. He's a leader. It's just a matter of him learning enough to get out there and be productive.
Now they've got to find something offensively. 440 yards average in non-conference play. With today's totals, it'll probably be closer to just under 300 maybe for the season. Jared Crick, though, 13 tackles, 5 sacks, 6.5 tackles for a loss. Chris Burke backs up to the 8-yard line. 57 yards on the kick and not a whole lot on the return. The ball is lit. No, somebody still got it. We saw the big pile. Baylor's still alive. Henry tries to finally chase down Chance Casey. Boy, it looked like Chris Burke was down, and all of a sudden Casey comes out of the pile.
There were a couple of different pitches on that play at the last second. Burke goes into the pile and ends up pitching the ball back. Right here it looks like Nebraska's going to get him secured. He gets free enough to pitch the ball right at the last second, and in the end Casey ends up with it and makes a nice play. Nebraska, Ron, almost gave up on that play a little bit too early as well.
I thought they had him corralled. And Florence with 27 seconds left. Pass is caught inside the 25-yard line to David Geddes. He's had a nice day today.
Ron, that quick hitch route right there. Look for the hook and lateral where they throw it to the quick hitch, the curl route, and then pitch it back.
Here's Geddes. He's got to get out of bounds, and he does with 9 seconds left. Once again, Baylor out of timeouts.
And remember, they still need a touchdown and a field goal to get something done here. So it may be a little bit too little too late, but you never know in this game of football.
273 yards for Nebraska, 264 for Baylor. Final 8 seconds. Here's Florence going for his true freshman Jefferson at 6'6", and it's batted away. Matt O'Hanlon got a piece of it, so we've got 1 second left in the ball game.
Lance Durrell actually on that play from that safety position, and that's what Nebraska has lacked on those throws downfield. They've been too passive. Go up and play that ball at its highest point and play it aggressively.
And this will be the final play of the game. Here comes the pressure. Florence looking across the middle. Pass is going to be incomplete, and that's the way the game will end. Baylor falling to 3-5 on the year, 0-4 in conference play. Nebraska going to 5-3, 2-2 in conference play. Our final score: Nebraska wins at 20-10. Next time versus UNLV versus number 6 TCU. For more information on college football, log on to versus.com. For Kelly Stauffer, Lewis Johnson, and our entire Versus crew, I'm Ron Thulin. Now let's go to the Craftsman postgame show.